Hello. Did you miss me? Because I sure missed you. And I missed this podcast. I love doing this podcast. And for the past few weeks, maybe months, I just have not been able to. I've been juggling a lot of things. Life happens. I know it's a bad excuse, but I'm out of excuses. So here we are. I'm back. It's a lot of work, this darn podcast for me, but it's a labor of love. It's a passion project. I truly enjoy sitting these people down and talking to them. And I know it's been a long, long time. And believe me, I know it's been a long time. All my equipment has just been sitting in the backpack, and it has been eating me alive inside. So I have taken the necessary course of action. I quit one of my jobs solely for the resurrection of this podcast. Not really solely for, but that was one of the repercussions of it, is I get to do the podcast again. Essentially, to schedule my guests, it's typically over the weekend kind of thing, so I can't work a job over the weekend. If I plan to meet up with anybody, nobody's really that interested in podcasting on a weekday. It's happened before, but it's way easier scheduling-wise, and especially as well having the time to edit these, because it takes me a while and it's a lot of work, but I love it. So I do apologize for the hiatus. From here on out, we should be back to weeklies. I like to post on Monday. I've had some amazing consultations with friends and people I respect about how to go forth with this and how to continue on in a sustainable manner, in a productive manner, to where it doesn't eat me alive as far as time and effort and energy. And it should be a more streamlined, much more streamlined process, which is just fine for me. So yeah, I've shuffled some things around. I have reprioritized some things. I've even made a few decisions in my personal life that were directly correlated to the progression of this podcast. So I am back alive. The podcast is back alive, and I couldn't be more excited, truly. So if you've been waiting for podcast number 5, the wait is over. As soon as I shut up, you will get to hear me talk some more in a different room with my guest, who is a good friend of mine and an even better friend now that this has happened. And we finally got to sit down. He canceled on me a few times. Yeah, it happens. Totally understand. It's not for everybody, podcasting, and I thought he did great. He did a great job on the podcast. He talked fluently and honestly. Best conversation I could have asked for. So my guest today is Mason Henderson. We actually haven't spent very much time together. Hopefully that will change after this podcast and going into the future, because we just get along really well. And sometimes, obviously, there's a lot of people in this world that you don't get along with. So the ones that you do get along with, I think it's important to hold them close and to share your time with them. That is my love language, by the way, is quality time. So if I'm spending time with you willingly, don't take it lightly, because there's many, many, many other things I would probably rather be doing than spending time with most people. So if I'm choosing to spend time with you, you are special, and I love you. If you are listening to this podcast, I love you by proxy, which is almost as good. But I just wanted to do a short intro and just kind of explain why the podcast has been off the rails, and reiterate that it is back on the rails. Let's go. If you have anybody in mind that you'd like me to interview and podcast with, please reach out. Let me know. Love seeing comments on the podcast, hearing the pros and cons, whatever you like, whatever you don't like. We're still very, very early in this thing. Very early in this thing. So I'm taking all the feedback I can get. I'm a little intimidated for a guest that I know nothing about, but I think I would be all right. I think it would be a great podcast. I can talk it up with just about anybody. So if you have somebody interesting in mind, I've had a few requests and I appreciate those, and I've yet to reach out I need one more guest, which maybe by the time you're hearing this, I have something scheduled. And that'll be number 7. Number 6 is already recorded. You're about to listen to 5. Number 8 and number 9, the guests are lined up. It's just a matter of scheduling, but I have the guest. 10 will be another solo. So every 10th podcast will be a solo podcast from here on out. And that'll be probably more of this type. They probably won't be as long. They'll probably be a little shorter. Not quite the same vein of podcast number 2. I do have some things in some relation to that podcast, but much more current day, what's going on, maybe my thoughts on some current events, subjects that are coming up, viral videos, whatever. It'll be a little more easygoing than the heavy hitter that the other solo was. That took me a lot of time and energy to expel and put it out there. So I really appreciate everybody listening. Thank you for the support. You know, it's all the cliche stuff that I hate saying, and maybe I will find better words in the future for it. But right now, it's just thank you for listening, and I really hope you enjoy this episode.
Oh man, that smells delightful. A little pour of that.
Thank you,
your own, sir.
Welcome everybody once more to the episode 5 of Best Case Scenario podcast. Today, my guest is the great Mason Henderson.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, of course. As you can see, we are sophisticated gentlemen, and we are toasting some Redwood Empire rye whiskey. Cheers, good man.
Cheers. Oh, that's great.
Delicious.
Dude.
Delicious.
Makes me a fan of rye.
And the other sophistication we bring literally to the table is a wonderful game of chess. So this will be a first. I've never played a chess game over a podcast.
That's kind of something we just came up with. Huh?
I don't know if it's ever been done, in the history. So
this could be a new thing.
We might be making history right now.
I'm excited.
But regardless, I'm down with it.
A note on this whiskey, man. I like how it kind of just saturates your mouth really quickly, and the saturation like takes the bite out of what a whiskey would have. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I don't know. I feel it just settling like to the back corners of my tongue, whereas that whiskey I was talking about earlier, it just kind of sat like right in the middle. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a really good descriptor or whatever of, I don't know if that's rye or if that's just redwood.
I don't either. It's good.
I think the rye is more of like flavor rather than like texture.
Yeah, it's more robust.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's got a different thing going on. But
I enjoy it.
I love a good whiskey, and I don't have them as often as I used to. So, you know, when the chance arises.
Yeah, you know, good things in moderation are not bad for you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Moderation, that is the key. So, let's address this chess game quickly.
Yeah.
Do you want...
I'll let you play white.
Okay, well, that's very generous.
I feel like I could be generous, yeah. Why not?
That's very generous of you.
You brought the bottle, I'll let you play white.
I'll play white. I'll make that deal.
So normally when we play over chess.com, you kind of spank me. I've had a couple wins.
You've had a couple wins.
But
I could pull up the official record, but we'll let that be.
Yeah, we'll leave that off the record.
We'll let that be.
We'll just let this be the record.
I think actually this is another historic moment. I don't think we've ever played an over-the-board game.
We have not. I don't recall ever. I don't play a lot of over-the-board games at all, actually. The last one I played was just recently, believe it or not. I played my first over-the-board game with a complete stranger.
How was it?
It was wonderful. It was a great game. I lost it in the end, but still a good game. It was frustrating. But it was at a coffee shop in downtown Little Rock. We were just there trying to get some food before we had to get to the hotel because we were there for some state fire board testing for fixed kitchen systems.
Okay.
So we stopped, got a coffee, and I just asked this guy, had his backpack sitting on the chess table. So I asked my boss who was with me if he wanted to play. So we played, and then...
Did you beat him?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. He was a little rusty. He knows how to play like more than what he let on, I think, because he put up a pretty decent fight. But this other guy, he came on. I think his name was Arjo, Arjo was his name, and he was an interesting fellow. He was really, really.
Arjo, was he a American dude?
He was Indian, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he appeared to be like Indian, Pakistani.
Well, leave it
descent.
to the Indian to be more sophisticated than the average American. And
as soon as I
know
saw
how
the
to
guy,
play chess.
Yeah, I was hoping he would accept. So like, I figured he would be good. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was kind of the expected result, but I had a good time. I was nervous as hell. I don't know why.
I mean, sometimes I feel like it's almost easier to play a stranger than it is a friend.
True, because your friend knows what you like to do. They know your habits potentially. And I don't know, with a stranger, there's so much that you don't know, you know?
It's like, I don't know, I almost feel not so bad if I lose, and I don't feel so high-horsed if I win.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, I don't know.
It was a great match, and I wasn't upset about losing.
But you know, the scary thing is which RJ, AJ? Arjo.
Yeah.
Arjo could have been a chess wizard, and like you would never know.
No, never would have
It's
known.
almost like the MMA world where it's like you don't know that dude's a black belt. He doesn't
Yeah.
look like a black belt.
No, he's a little skinny guy,
Yeah.
but he'll pretzel you up
he
before
will
you know
put
it.
you in a pretzel faster than you can think about pretzels. Okay. Well, we're going to get to chess conversation soon. I will make my first move since we are off and running now. Thank you for doing this.
Dude,
I
it's
really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I'm so happy to have
I
you.
appreciate it, man. You were on one of basically my first 10, if you have been on my first 10.
I'm flattered.
You were my like top guys.
Awesome, dude.
And you postponed me a little bit, but
That's
I
my
understand.
fault.
I understand.
I apologize. We're doing it now, though.
We're doing a Queen Open.
All right.
And then I guess we'll just go casual, no reason to rush your move. If you're ready to move, go ahead. No
I feel
problem.
like in the
This-
opening,
this
it's
early
more,
game,
it's more like reactive in the opening.
this early game is a lot can happen. And do you know many openings? No, we are going to get into chess.
There's a couple that I know. Do I know them well is another question, but
There's like 3 that I could like rep out, maybe like 8 moves, like just because there's not a whole lot of attacking
and
going
see, like,
on.
The one you're playing now is Queen's Gambit, right?
Yeah,
And so I have a chance to accept or decline at this point. I know that. I would say Queen's Gambit is probably the one I know the best.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's fairly easy.
It's pretty easy.
Kind of black and white. You can do whatever you like.
I will say I'm a little more reactionary when it's declined, because when it's accepted, you know exactly what to do.
Right,
When it's
yeah.
declined, I'm like, all right, now I'm in this position,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
why
got to figure it out.
I enjoy playing declined a little better personally.
Hell, we'll start with chess. What got you into chess? And it looks like you did decline.
Yeah, of course. So initially chess was, I was in middle school and 6th grade. You remember Miss Tracy?
I love Miss Tracy.
You were in middle school, yeah, in
Yep.
Riverton. So
Yep.
Lynette Tracy, she had this tournament / club. I didn't know if it was really
What?
I didn't know if it was a club at the time.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2016.
So you were 5 years
Would have been
younger.
like 2010.
Why was this club not around when I was in middle school? Miss Tracy?
Yeah,
All right,
she's got
sorry.
some answers or some questions to answer there.
Sorry, go on.
So anyway, it kind of started there, and I had like been taking school seriously, and chess was always a thing that was like nerdy, I guess. And so that was kind of when I decided to embrace that side of myself, And so I started playing chess, and I actually really loved it. So it kind of started with Mrs. Tracy.
Is that the only nerdy thing that you have embraced?
Oh no, I've embraced many more things since then.
That's good.
Like, I don't know. Define nerdy. I can nerd out over fire extinguishers. You know what I mean?
Whoa, that's a new one.
I mean, I can go on and just tell
That's
you.
a new one.
I like talking about things that are interesting to me.
Sure.
So I guess I can nerd out in that sense, I guess, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Fire extinguishers, of all things, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, dude, like I got one right there,
That looks like a classic.
It's an old one that is actually, they don't make parts for that anymore. So it got condemned, and I was like, hey, I kind of want a little decoration for home.
So that's just part of your decorations here?
Mm-hmm. And, there may be plans later for it, like take the stem and the head out of it and use it as a little planter maybe, or just like cut the top off.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little piece of my journey of like, I got a little piece of everything from like every job I've had. I wouldn't say necessarily every job, but like like TMC, my diesel tech job that I had for like 3 years. I've got an old name plaque. We weren't supposed to get those, but they sent the email to all the maintenance guys, right? Well, I put in and I sent it, replied. They were like, yeah, just give us your name and the year you started. I was like, okay. So I did that. And the shop manager came out. He was like, hey, Mason, your fucking nameplate came in. And he like threw it. He was like, what are you doing that shit for, man? And I was like,
So, of course, you got to take it.
Yeah. I have it still. So it's kind of like a little piece of memorabilia, you know?
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too tangent-y here. Was that were you doing forklift stuff over there?
Forklift actually came after the diesel tech job.
Okay. So let's rewind before we get
Sure.
too far ahead.
Okay.
What does your life look like right now?
It's pretty great, dude. I'm still kind of trying to find my little niche, like where I want to stay and hang out until retirement, you know? I don't know, or maybe I'm still finding out if I'm that type of person, you know what I mean? Like, do I need to do something on my own? I'm solid, but there's still some things up in the air. Like, I don't know. I guess I could describe it. I'm in like questionable content right now. If you know what I mean, like things are good, like I can coast where I'm at, but I'm looking for like that fulfillment. And while I enjoy the job that I have now, I don't enjoy driving down to Springdale every day because I commute to Springdale,
How long
Arkansas.
is that?
It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Stretch.
Yeah, it's a drive.
And you have a company truck, though.
Yeah, I got a little van out there.
That helps.
It helps. I don't have to pay for fuel.
Sure.
So, and it gives me an opportunity to listen to podcasts too and learn something if I want. So I don't know. I would say life's good though overall.
That's good.
To answer the question.
You say find your niche. Is that a geographical struggle, or is that like something around, like you're looking for something around here?
You know, I don't necessarily think geographical because I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at. You know, I've got people I know around me. You know,
You like Joplin?
I've got family. I like Joplin. I'd like to be a little more rural personally, but this is a starter home. So
Sure.
Being in town isn't too bad. This isn't the worst neighborhood to start out in.
No,
you know?
definitely not.
My niche being, I don't know. I went down that, and it's got me thinking more like identity thing. You know what I mean? Like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Actually, I've noticed I enjoy turning wrenches a lot, so I'm thinking about kind of venturing back into that. The low volt technician / inspections is nice, just because it's like easier physically on my body, but the most fulfillment I've gotten from a job is like fixing something that's broken, you know?
Especially mechanically.
Yeah, especially mechanically, like diagnosis and figuring out what the problem is instead of just like continuously throwing parts at it, you know, like being a technician instead of a parts changer.
Yeah. There's got to be some serious satisfaction when you're given something broken.
Yeah,
and
man.
then when you're done with it, it's like turn the key and it fires
Yeah,
up or
dude.
something.
And it may be a simple satisfaction, but it's a satisfaction that, you know, I like it. And I want to have a career where I'm not so involved so much where I can't do things that I want, you know, because I like playing disc golf. I like going to hunt whenever it's season. Catherine and I like to travel. We've gone a couple times looking for rocks. We went to Diamond Crater National Park in Arkansas.
There's some nerdy stuff.
Yeah, went down
looking
there
for rocks, baby.
Looking for diamonds, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the park?
Not familiar.
Oh, really? So
Which park is this? Sorry.
Diamond Crater National Park. It's like central Arkansas in the mountains. It's the nearest town to it, I think, is called Murfreesboro, and that's where we stayed anyway. And this
Airbnb or something?
Oh no, we just got a hotel. Yeah, the hotel was pretty cheap. It was like $70 for a night.
Not bad.
That's all we did. We went down there for a night. Got up the next day. It was cold and wet, so we didn't like have the best experience.
It's part of it, though.
We were happy to be out there getting our hands dirty and
part of the experience.
So it's basically like, I think it's 15 to 25 acres is what we had access to. It's a field, and they go and they plow this field every so often and just till it up, and people go through and find diamonds. Like they just recently found like a 3-carat yellow diamond out of this park. Yeah, and it's a raw diamond. And this place is like known for producing these precious gemstones. It's not just diamonds, but I mean, diamonds is obviously why people go there, but there's all kinds of other gemstones to find.
What's something like that would be worth? Like
I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, but
well, you gotta be talking.
It depends on
tens of thousands, maybe.
It probably like really depends on clarity and what you're with after it gets cleaned up. Because in order to sell the jewel, it's got to be cleaned up and faceted and graded and all that.
People don't want to, or I guess I don't know who's buying that. Like companies.
I don't know. I mean, maybe a jeweler would be interested.
Yeah, like a jeweler or something.
If they know what they're looking at and you show it to them and be like, yeah, I found this. But if I find a raw diamond, I'm probably not going to try to sell it unless I'm really, really hard up. You know?
Just keep it for your own enjoyment.
Absolutely.
That'd be pretty sweet.
What a great conversation piece that would be.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And like some diamonds aren't gem quality, so they don't get used for jewelry. They'll get processed for like diamond coated drill bits, saws, stuff like that.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought all diamonds were the same.
Yeah, they're the same hardness essentially, but there's different clarities, just like gemstones. Well, diamond is a gemstone, I think.
I don't know anything about that world.
Yeah, dude. I'm kind of a rock nerd too. I like rocks.
I think that's one thing I like about you is that you're in a different interest group than the typical stuff.
Yeah, dude.
You're the only one I can play chess with on a daily basis, just over the phone or whatever, and it's still very satisfying. I think over the board is superior in many different ways, but
I could agree.
Over the phone's fine too. What did you want to be as a kid?
Oh man, as a kid, the first thing I can remember wanting to be was an Army guy. I wanted to be...
No kidding.
I wanted to be in the military, believe it or not. That's what I wanted to do. Cause
family in the military or anything?
I had an uncle who was in the Army.
Heavy influence?
No. Believe it or not, no. I think it was because I grew up in that era, like post 9/11. I think that might have had something to do with it because patriotism was like such a strong wave at that point.
You had to be like 5 years old.
I was in like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, yeah. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go kill bad boys. I want to go kill bad guys.
Dude, that's wild.
That's what I wanted to do.
As a little kid.
And I mean, due to like some physical impairments that I have, I learned as I got older that wasn't really going to be a possibility. So it kind of fizzled out.
Kind of put it to the side.
Yeah, people ask me though if I'm from the military. My grandpa, he was in the Army in Vietnam. He was a Vietnam vet.
Damn.
And he became a barber after. And when I was young, he would always cut my hair like high and tight. That's what he did, an Army haircut. So that's what I always had. So that's kind of like why I like the look of a fade now.
Yeah.
I like wearing a fade.
Like you say, you still kind of wear that similar, longer on top, but
for sure,
always short on the sides.
People ask me more often than what you would think if I was in the military, but I'm not trying to emulate that in any way by any means.
Do you think that's just kind of like default how you are?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I carry myself with a good posture generally, and I try to be respectful of people. And I mean, I don't take offense to people thinking I was in the military, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I think if anything, it should be taken as a compliment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially when it's not like something you did or say. It's like just how you are, It's like
my aura.
Yeah,
if you
aura,
will.
or like you said, just small things like posture, politeness, or anything like that. It kind of emulates. Like, yeah, this could be a military guy. That's cool. How was your childhood?
It was pretty good, I would say. Had some rough spots. Mom had drug issues and stuff like that. But Dad, was solid for me and my sister. He raised my sister and I by himself, pretty much. He remarried when I was 10 or 11, I think. And he had that wife until I was a senior in high school, I think. They got a divorce, right after I graduated, I think.
So when was your mom out of the house?
Oh, dude, I was 2.
Whoa.
And my sister was a baby.
So you don't really have many memories floating around about mom in the house?
I The one that I do have is like a screaming match that they were in.
That sucks.
That's the only time I remember my mom and dad like being under the same roof, living together. That's really the only memory I have is that argument.
It's one in particular.
Yeah, it's odd that it's that one, and it was, I don't know. All the words I remember are like her screaming, "I wanted to take him to Silver Dollar City." Don't ask me how I remember that, dude.
Whoa!
But I remember those words specifically, and that's all I remember.
Huh.
And I'll remember weird little bits of my childhood that make no sense at all. But I was like very young whenever that conversation happened.
Yeah, it's like 2 years old or something.
Yeah, 2 or 3. But I was walking at the time. So I was probably a little closer to 3 because I had lots of operations on my feet as a kid, or as a child, young child. I was born with bilateral club foot.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that condition. So like both my ankles were like turned inward pretty severely.
Were or still are?
Well, they were. I've had surgeries and stuff, but I mean, they're misshapen, and I don't really have like a lot of range of motion in my ankle. So like my calves, I got what they call chicken legs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's as a result of that. I can show you these scars. They say this is my big toe. They cut from here all the way back around the backside of my ankle, Achilles tendon, and all my tendons. Cut them all. And like, I think the gist of it was they broke my ankle, reset it, and reconnected all the tendons. And then I was in casts and braces for like the first 3 years of my life.
Wow.
2 or 3 years. Yeah, dude.
So it was all real young.
Yeah. And then my hand surgeries, that's called amniotic band syndrome. If you look it up, bilateral clubfoot and amniotic band syndrome happen together quite often.
Amniotic band, that sounds like loss of circulation or something.
Yes, that's what happened. The amniotic band wrapped around and cut circulation off and caused these fingers to like grow together. So
is that common?
I wouldn't say it's common. I think it's classified as rare by like Mayo Clinic. I think it's like 1 in every 50,000.
Okay,
maybe.
That's actually pretty.
It's not rare. I wouldn't say it's rare, but I wouldn't say it's common either.
It doesn't sound rare, but yeah, to think common. I mean, you're one person in Joplin. You know, Joplin's like 50,000 people, so maybe the numbers add up.
Yeah, and I've met other people that have had it. Like I played football my sophomore year of high school. I was playing a JV game up in Erie, and this big old kid had some. His were a little worse than mine. His looked like little shriveled up raisins, like they were unusable. I can still like grab things or do things with my hands, but you could tell his use was definitely impaired.
Interesting.
On his hand.
So yeah, different severities.
Yeah, and it could have been a different condition too. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. There's no way. I never asked him. It's not like I was like nose to nose with this guy and be like, "Hey, dude."
You usually like throw up your hands.
Like, "Hey, bro, check that out."
Dude,
no
we're
club.
Same team.
No club.
I thought you were an athlete. I thought you did some sports.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What all did you play?
I played football, baseball. I golfed 1 year.
So you didn't let the ankles or the feet or anything slow you down?
No. Granted, I wasn't as fast as everyone else, or looking back, I probably wasn't as fast as I like could have been, like genetically, if you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So I always wonder like what I could have actually done sports wise, because I feel like I could have been pretty spectacular, because I did pretty well with my inabilities. I mean, I wasn't a star, but I kept up.
Yeah,
you know,
still athletic.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were still out on the field and making your plays and everything.
Yeah,
so you said you had one sister?
Yeah, Whitney Jo. She was born in 2000, so like 2.5 years after me.
And are you close? Or
I would say we're pretty close. Yeah.
How was your childhood with her? Like, were you guys tight?
No. We argued a lot. We fought. We argued. It was bumpy childhood, I guess, between her and I. I don't know. We were just probably competing for attention. Now that I look back at it.
No, that was my next question. Where did that stem from?
But like after I grew up, and she grew up and we were both out of high school, it was like, yeah, same team all the way, all love, encouragement, all the good stuff. Yeah, I'm really glad that it turned out that way for her and I, because for a minute there, I was like kind of bummed out that my sister and I didn't get along at all. She was, I don't know, she was just a snot-nosed brat, in my opinion, at the time.
Coming from Big Brother.
Yeah, but that's what I remember, you know. Careful.
Dude, help yourself, my friend. There is plenty there. I'm going to be amazed if we crush a bottle.
Dude, I'll be amazed. This stuff is really good, though.
I feel like it's a similar story with siblings who don't get along. And now I don't know the full extent of how that comes to be, but the sibling, usually I don't know both of the siblings. I know one of the siblings who doesn't get along with the other one. So I don't know both sides of the story.
Right.
But it seems like there's always like a sadness that like, I wish we were close. You know, I wish we could be tighter than we were. And I don't know the stories, and I'm sure every single one of them is unique and different.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'd be fighting over a toy or something like that, and she would just call me a bitch and like grab me and scratch me or something, because that's what she did. She had fingernails, and she would just grab me and just dig in with her fingernails.
Ow.
Brutal shit, dude. Like brutal shit. And so you can see why we were kind of at odds a little bit, but
that's just like children, though, you know. And that's almost acceptable. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
And like you said, I think you nailed it probably with the competing for attention. So that's
probably like I think Freud, was it Freud that did that study? I don't know. Kat could probably tell us more. She's the one studying psychology right now. But it was more like a
sibling study thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was him though, because he was more like on the thoughts of, oh, the son doesn't like dad because he wants to be with mom,
right?
You know, deep in the subconscious or something like that. But I don't know if he had something about sibling studies in there. I want to say I remember reading something.
Yeah, I think he did more.
I wish I could remember. I feel bad I brought it up now.
No, it's all good. He definitely was probably wider than just the because people think of Freud and that's like son, mom.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
No, I'm certain he did more studies than just that. It's like, the guy wasn't alive he did a lot more.
We probably remember him for more than just that, but yeah. So that's good. That's good you guys are tight. Yeah, it's just sad to see adult siblings that's like not on the same team.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? You know, unless like someone made a conscious decision to do something like completely unforgivable, you know what I mean? I can understand feuds there.
And not have any sense of like regret or anything.
Yeah.
Because like even an unforgivable thing, it's like after enough regret and, you know, it's like
you eventually still crave their attention.
Most things are redeemable. You can come back from a lot. So yeah, I think somehow or another, I guess I assume it's a conscious decision based on, either something that happened or, you know, some people like steal your soul, suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
And if that's your sibling, then, you know, how do you manage that?
Right.
Like you have to sever that cord.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks.
Yep.
Because I find so much joy and comfort in having a brother and having somebody,
of course,
brother, sister, whoever it is, you know, just it's like that dude's in my corner and I like good people in my corner.
For sure.
So
yeah. There's no better feeling.
Yeah. To not have that because of a petty squabble,
right?
Whatever the case, I'm sure it's worse than that, but
no, we had our petty squabbles as young children.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we got it worked out, and we're pretty tight now. She lives in Pittsburgh, so we don't get to like see each other too often, but we try to stay in touch and get together every so often, have the family together. Which we weren't really family oriented growing up because, you know, we just had like the single paternal figure, you know, overlooking both her and I. We would do like some activities. Like sometimes we'd go out and have a little fire out back and do hot dogs and marshmallows. Those are fun. Those are fond memories, which my dad, he'd rented a house outside Galena on Boston Mill Road, but it was like down a dead end dirt road, like down on the river. We were like 100 yards off Spring River.
Sweet.
The house was on 10-foot stilts. There was a ramp going up to the deck and stairs going up the other side.
That sounds like a childhood dream.
It was really cool, man. I'm very grateful to have spent like my younger years there because that was great. Like I got to wander. We hunted on that land. You know, it was like 65 acres of deer, turkeys, and all basically fishing that we wanted to do.
You can't ask for better childhood.
No.
Or, you know, a better environment.
Yeah. During that period, though, I didn't appreciate the outdoors as much as I do now. So, like, I was kind of getting in my video game era. That's when the first Call of Duty came out, or when I got my Call of Duty Finest Hour, that first one for PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I became a gamer. That's when my gaming started, dude. And fell pretty hard for the video games there for a while. Yeah.
And you don't do that anymore?
Oh, I still play on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a PC?
No, I mean, I play Helldivers 2 on the
Okay,
PC
you play
there.
on hers.
Yeah, and she plays Dead by Daylight whenever she gets a wild hair, you know. And then I play Fallout. I played No Man's Sky.
Nice. What do you got? You got an Xbox?
Yeah, I got an Xbox
Okay, I
One.
see that sitting over there.
Mhm.
Very nice.
Yeah, man. Really like it. There's a really fun game, actually. I don't know. Do you play games?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Xbox, PC?
I got a PS5 and a PC.
Okay,
so kind of jump back and forth.
Have you played Chivalry? Have you heard of that game?
I've heard of it.
Dude.
Have not played.
Oh, bro.
I've heard great things.
Chivalry 2. That's the one that's on Game Pass right now, and I assume PlayStation has access to it. Dude, that game is so much fun. It's medieval combat, man. You got to play it.
I've heard great things.
Yeah. It's like $40, I think.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I bought it, actually, having never played it. I watched, it was a streamer that Kat likes to watch on YouTube, and so we watched him and his crew. They played it, and I was like, damn, that looks like
Sold.
fun.
Yeah,
You
immediately.
can go first or third person. You can get long swords, maces. You can be a crossbow guy. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
That's cool. I do love the direction of games because I think they're getting better and better.
I was listening to somebody earlier. Joe Rogan was talking to him. It wasn't Tank Abbott. Might have been Ben Carlson.
Okay.
And he said that video games actually are shown to increase gray matter in your brain, like 3D video games. And I don't know if that constitutes like a Call of Duty style video game, or if he means 3D, like 2D is Atari versus 3D, you know, playing Call of Duty.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a platformer. But I don't know. I could see like the hand-eye coordination required by like the fast-paced Call of Duty.
Sure.
How it could increase.
I feel like something like Call of Duty would have almost diminishing returns, though. It's like, yes, hand-eye, but I don't know, something about like the open world where it's like creativity is involved and like you have to think outside the box. Do you ever play any of the God of Wars?
No, I haven't actually.
So they have like puzzles.
Play a little Skyrim.
Well, Skyrim is definitely more like exploration.
I left the PlayStation family whenever the Xbox 360 came out. So, because Resident Evil 5 was a game, and that game had come out, and I was playing, like, I played it at a friend's house, and I just wanted an Xbox from then on out. So that's the route I went, dude.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with it.
That was the fork.
I used to be team PlayStation, and then it's like, man, anymore, it's hard to be a fan of my favorite football team just with like, who really cares?
Right.
Who really gives a shit about if
they're
they
both
win?
great consoles.
They're both great consoles if you're having a good time. And anymore, it's like, I think cross-compatibility is a lot more common than it used to be.
Yeah, and
It's
they're
like,
working
I don't
on...
care what you're playing on, you know? It's
Yeah.
like we can still play together.
Well, see, like Helldivers 2, you can get it on PlayStation, but you cannot get it on Microsoft. But they're working on getting cross-compatibility.
Okay, I think I heard about that.
Where Xbox players can also play it.
Helldivers, I do have on PlayStation.
Dude, that game is fun.
I don't have it. My PC's a little underpowered, so usually if it's like, and there's something, I know you can get a controller for your PC, but there's something about sitting back in like a recliner or something comfortable and just having your controller, because PC, you kind of got to be at a desk.
You have to be up here. And
You
you're
have to
like,
be up here.
You're stuck in an awkward position sometimes.
I think it's great for quick reaction and like really being into it.
Yeah, your wrist is way more sensitive.
But if I'm going for like Skyrim or like an open world where I just want to jog around and just
dude.
explore a cave, I want to be relaxed, I want to be comfortable, and I think that's the beauty of a controller is I can be sitting any which way that I want to.
I used to play Guitar Hero on PlayStation 2 with a controller.
Really?
Not with the guitar.
What?
I never played with a guitar.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, bro. You hook up the PlayStation controller, and like X was the orange one, which is like the highest note, you know?
Okay.
And then you use your top 4 buttons for the other strings.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
I
dude.
never even knew that was possible.
Yeah, that's how I played Guitar Hero as a kid.
I thought you had to have a guitar if you wanted to play.
No, we had the game, but we either couldn't afford the guitar attachment or didn't bother getting one. Either way, I just loved the music. So I was just on there like doing crazy shit with buttons, man.
Dude, that was a revolutionary game.
It really was.
That was so much fun.
It's what like turned me on to rock and roll, because my dad, when we were growing up, all he listened to was AC/DC. That's the only rock he would ever entertain. So when like Guitar Hero Metallica came out on the Wii, and like they went all out one year. I think they got their income taxes or something like that. But they bought the drum set and bought a guitar, dude. And we had it, dude. We had Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Metallica. And that's when I started figuring out, oh, hell yeah, I love me some metal music. So my dad was just always country. You know what I mean? Classic country. That's what he listened to. And that's still what he listens to this day.
I don't hate it.
He's old school redneck, you know?
I don't hate it.
It's a great way to grow up.
Now, tell me this, because I played Guitar Hero, but I never played, like, Drum Hero or whatever the hell it was. Guitar Hero, I don't think it's doing much of anything to expand guitar skills.
No.
Now, the drums, though, since it's, like, the exact motion, I feel like you could really learn from the drums.
The drums could definitely translate. I would say they definitely helped me, like, with beats and stuff.
Yeah, holding a melody or whatnot.
And on the guitar side, maybe not necessarily doing chords or picking. Actually, picking, it would help with the button pushing and the coordination of hitting.
Coordination, maybe.
The coordination is the benefit I could see, but that's it, really, as far as the guitar goes.
Like the finger dexterity on a guitar. Like, you're not getting it. You're pushing a button.
No,
based
it requires
on finger
all
placement.
4 fingers when you play guitar.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, really.
And then I'm trying piano. It's difficult.
Yes.
But I love it.
That's like, I would say, top level hand-eye coordination.
Interesting.
In order to be able to play sheet music, to play the bass part and the treble part at the same time with both hands, like your right hand is playing one side, the treble clef, and your left hand is playing the bass clef.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
a good way to put it.
That's the epitome of hand-eye coordination, in my opinion. I don't think, like, if you play piano, you should be able to do anything you want with your hands and eyes.
Well, they say piano is a great starter because it's like something about like the music scale is based on a piano. I don't know if that's true or not.
It depends on which scale. So I was in orchestra in high school. I played violin from when I was 3rd grade all the way up until I was a junior or sophomore, I think. I sat first chair, violin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
First chair, baby.
Yeah, dude, it was a kind of a flex on my part, you know, because here I am, a guy missing fingers.
Flex.
Playing first chair, first violin, dude. So I kind of rode that wave for a while. I actually just bought a violin last year sometime and intending on getting back in on playing because that's something that truly brought me joy. You know, like if I think about some concerts and like listening to classic music and just some of the moments, they're spine chilling, truly. Like they chill me to my bones. It's crazy. I played some orchestra thing on the TV. I came home and I didn't turn on YouTube, or I did turn on YouTube, but I didn't turn on like typical channel or whatever. I just looked up a song and I can't remember what it was, but it was a classical song and man, it brought a tear to my eye. It made me cry.
Whoa.
Like I'm a guy that doesn't cry. You know what I mean? Like it takes death to make me cry,
Sure,
basically. You know? So for that to evoke that emotion, that just tells me that that's something that really meant a lot to me, you know? And I got a hold of Carla Henson, actually. I don't know if you remember her.
I do.
And
you got a hold of her?
Yeah, I messaged her on Facebook. I'm friends with her on Facebook. And I guess she had a stroke. Yeah, it's bad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she had a stroke a while back. But I talked to her, man, and I wanted to let her know how grateful I was and how sorry I was for like stopping music. I felt like I was an ungrateful student. You know, I went through like a heavy remorse little period for like 5 minutes. So I just messaged her back and forth and she helped me feel
5
better.
minutes.
Yeah, dude, it was like, man, what am I doing? Like I had talent, you know, but it's all right. It's all good. In due time, it'll all come back. Like I still have sheet music in there. I can still read sheet music and pick up a violin and play if I have to.
That's huge. If you can do sheet music, I think that's a huge step.
Yeah, dude.
In the right direction.
Doing it that long, how can you forget?
I have some cousins, and they are wizards. I call them wizards, but I guess they aren't with what I'm about to follow up with. But they can just jump on a piano and play, and then it's like, well, how do you know how to play? And like their generation, because the oldest is probably about to graduate college, so little bit younger, and then the youngest just graduated high school. And so kind of different generation. They would like watch a YouTube video and just follow along enough times.
And
so
then slowly speed it up.
It was like memorization. So they don't, if they have a book in front of their face, you know, sheet music, they don't know how to read it. They just memorize the song.
They memorize the sound.
The sound and the song and the hand placement.
That's very impressive, actually.
Is it?
It is.
I thought it was more impressive to learn
it's probably,
sheet music.
It's probably a harder way to learn, you know what I mean? But in a sense, it's more beneficial because then they're like getting more intimate with the keys and where their hands need to be and how to do certain transitions from here to here. And it's all technique that you learn as you play, because there's crazy stuff, dude. Like, I've seen people play piano that is just like, how do you do that? You know, some of the speed that people go up and back down and skipping over, like, how do you know that is 5 keys you just jumped over in that quick? It's muscle memory, you know. It's so developing the muscle memory is one thing, but being able to pick up sheet music and read from that and play, that's another thing too.
I'm just blown away that, you know, you read something on paper and somehow it translates to audible music. Like, I'm just blown away by that. But I mean,
it's a whole other language.
If you can play, you can play. You know, I don't take anything away from them. It's just a different type of learning and different style and everything.
You know what I mean? You know, like the fiddle is more in Southern. It plays multiple strings at once a lot of the time, whereas a classical violin is more each string, maybe a little more eloquent or elegant in its sound, whereas a fiddle kind of has a twang to it.
I see.
If that makes sense.
I didn't know you were so musically inclined, my friend.
Yeah, dude, I'm all over the place.
I like it. No, I like the multiple interests and everything.
Yeah.
I guess it's the difference of you know, master of one versus
jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
You know, I've almost kind of adopted that identity. I want to be that jack of all trades, but then I feel like I could be robbing myself of, you know, something great in a certain area. You know what I mean?
Well, there's
that's all about exposure for me personally.
Exposure how?
Like, just exposure to as many things as I can get out of life.
Sure.
You know?
I'm gonna totally butcher it. It's the point is, it's better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely, I would agree, and I think I've found a lot of use in that. Like, just whenever I want to switch careers, or if I'm not happy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I feel like you really got to be all in if you're going to be the master. You got to be absolutely, that is your life, and you love that if you want to be the master of it.
And I've been fortunate enough to be exposed to lots of different skills between welding, wrenching, machining. I've worked at machine shops and dealt with CNC machines.
That can pay some big money.
Yeah, it can. The shop I worked at wasn't super great, but it got me by, you know. I was single, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. I was doing fine.
That's what people say about welding, because I too have a fascination, and
welding is a beautiful thing, dude. I love metallurgy.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Metal energy. What a great term.
No, metallurgy.
Oh, metallurgy?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
It is. I don't know the definition of it, but metallurgy is like the science of metal, I think, is what it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, I can pay so much money. And it's like, it can. But
it also cannot.
But it also can pay pretty average.
Like, take serious advantage of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Long hours, short pay.
Heck yeah, hotter than hell.
Hot.
Coming home with burns all over
long
your
hours. Dude, I got some scars on this arm, and then I spilled coffee over here. It's like, I'm just going to have matching scars on.
I'm sure I've got some scars somewhere, but they're probably gone now from when I was doing all my, because we did lots of aluminum welding on our flatbed trailers.
That can be bad for you.
Especially if it's dirty.
Do you use respirators or anything? Isn't it the fumes that you got to look out for?
The fumes are bad, yeah. So I didn't really know about the fumes until after I had really been doing it for a while. And at that point, I was just kind of like, I'll do a little welding, and I'll just not do the big jobs that require you to be like in the center, where it's what we call the coil rack update. So you basically take out a centerpiece of support because it's cracked out up the sides, and you weld in a new one. It's a kind of a hefty job. You got to use 1/4-inch plate and cut a piece out and fit it all in there and grind everything all down and prep it, and then weld it in with plates on the side, drill holes to weld the plates. It's a whole process. They all had their own standard operating procedure
And
for how they wanted stuff done.
Surely that's wire welding.
Yeah, it's push-pull gun.
Push-pull.
Yeah, so it's a MIG, but the machine, it pushes at the machine, and then in the gun itself, it has gears that pulls the wire as well, because aluminum wire is very prone to bunching up inside the lead. So you can either use a spool on a regular MIG gun, which is typically what most people use, but we did so much of the aluminum welding that we had a push-pull MIG aluminum gun.
More like a specialized gun.
Yeah. The gun is pretty bulky and big. You're not allowed, you can't really flex it as much as you could like a regular MIG whip, or a gun.
Yeah, we'd have those coiled up and everything else, and they ran fine. But...
Yeah. But no, ours is, if I remember right, it had like a cover over it, like a Kevlar sheath almost that, protected the gas lines going out to your nozzle and stuff. But no, I did a lot of aluminum welding. I was one of the better welders out of the crew.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was something I found talent in, Once again, I'm blessed to, most things I pick up, I'm decent at.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
that is a blessing.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. And so, like, it's also a curse sometimes, because when I come across something new and I'm not understanding it right away or not as quickly as I normally get it, it's frustrating. It can be frustrating.
Yeah.
Take a little hit to the ego a little bit, That happens not that often, but I have come across it before.
Clearly you remember it.
Yeah, dude. It happened kind of recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I pulled a pull station at a daycare that I was inspecting their fire alarm at, right? And their pull stations are just the little red boxes, that you go pull, fire. So the process is I go through it, I put their system on test online, and then I have to run their notification, which is their strobes and their horns, and so that pisses them off. So I do that first.
You're one of those guys?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be doing some tests today.
Yeah. So I do that first and try to get it all done, and then at the panel I disconnect the notification so I can go through and test all of the signaling devices. So there's two different circuits in a fire system. It's called a NAC circuit, which is the notification appliance circuit.
Okay.
So NAC is just notification. That's your annunciator, which is typically like the smaller panel you have like by the entrance, whereas your main fire panel will be in an electrical closet somewhere inaccessible. So it's somewhere you can put a key in and turn the alarm off if you have to, without having to get to the main panel. So you got a NAC circuit, and then you have a signal line circuit, which signals that there's a problem. So NAC is like your brain, and your SLC is like the nerves.
Okay.
So the SLC gets tripped, that signals to the brain, there's a fire, then it starts shooting stuff off.
Very good comparison.
Yeah. It's how it was taught to me. That's the best way I know.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. I get it.
Yeah. So anyway, going through, and you have to pull the pull stations to test them, right? Make sure they register on the panel. And it turns out it was a pull station for their Ansel system, which is a liquid fire extinguisher for kitchen hood grease fires.
Okay.
So I started discharging this chemical on their lunch that they were preparing right in the middle of their lunch prep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Bad deal.
For school?
It was for a daycare. So it was like preschool daycare, It was a bad deal. There's probably at least 100 kids there. So the company had to cover lunch that day, and the company had to cover breakfast and lunch the next day. And then we also had to cover the cost of the system getting recharged, which was about a little under $1,000. Yeah. So all in all, it ended up costing the company about $2,200.
Okay. I find a stark difference between you starting something and not being good at it and this whole scenario.
Well, okay. It may have been a fluke, but because I've been doing well so far. Like, I've been on my own. I'm licensed, and it was just an accident,
Yeah, sure.
But like,
which happens. It happens.
The and this is what pisses me off about this company. These investors, they're in Little Rock, right? They don't have any hands in the business at all other than telling us what to do financially and having meetings. They wanted to fire me because of that. because of a genuine accident. Yeah.
I mean, $1,000 isn't.
My position is seriously profitable, I found out. So I can do a fire alarm inspection in about 2 hours, right? Roughly. And we charge a $450 minimum for a fire alarm inspection, plus a $50 on-site service fee. So I'm like, why are these guys getting so upset when I've probably already like paid for all of my hiring costs? You know what I mean?
In a couple hours.
And this is probably like a little wrong of me to go this deep into my thought, you know, but that's just where I go, because one day I want to be a boss. So I've got to realize that mistakes at the bottom level go up top and affect everything. And I put a little unneeded pressure on myself sometimes to perform well and not make mistakes. And it's, I don't know, it bothers me more than it should, I think. Sometimes it's easy to shake it off.
Are you a kind of perfectionist?
Yeah, I'm almost OCD about some things. Like, I'm not diagnosed or anything, but sometimes, dude, like, I'll have a little flip out. You know what I mean?
OCD would be like, you lock your door and you get in your truck and then you're like, did I lock the door? I'm pretty sure I did. And then you go check it.
Okay, so I have had... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, basically that. Then you check
it's just the angst of that.
It's locked.
Or did I do
you
that?
You get back in your truck and you put it in drive, and you're like, I know I checked it. Is the door locked? And it's a compulsion. It's a repetitive.
Right.
And
you get locked in.
Also, so much. Kat would know this. So much of the DSM of the, diagnosable disorders is, if it doesn't like interfere with your life, with your being, then it's not even diagnosed, because it's not interfering.
Right.
It's not wasting time, or, it's not like it's not a huge impediment to your day. But when it is an impediment to your day, that's whenever it's like diagnosable, because it's interrupting you.
Yeah, of course. So it's probably just my fault for not seeking help, I guess. I don't know. I felt like I haven't really needed help.
I don't think, from what you're telling me, I don't think you do.
No. I need to learn to control angry outbursts whenever I get them, because that's where it leads to most of the time for me, is I just outburst angrily and I'm pissed off, and it takes me just like sitting and kind of pouting, I guess, being realist about it.
Sitting through it.
Yeah, through it and just kind of being with those feelings, and I'll get through it, maybe smoke a little bud and chill out after a while. And then, scroll on the phone a little and let the nerves kind of ease out.
The best thing about a little bud is that it takes you from your vantage point and it puts you somewhere else.
Yes.
And then you can look at it from a different, not so much out of body third person, not that.
But
it's
a self-reflective way.
It's a different vantage point to where it's like, let me look at this from this angle. And you're able to do that.
Yeah.
And of course, it can be used very recreationally, and I feel good, and that's totally fine, no big deal. But like, I found when I use it for the proper usage, my proper usage, it's to reevaluate from a different angle.
Absolutely.
And it's so awesome for reflection, as you say.
And a lot of the times after I smoke, dude, that's when the apology comes out. And I'm like, baby, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to blow up on you like that. Or like, maybe I blew up on a friend over text because he said something that I didn't like. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry about that. That was wrong. I shouldn't have came at you like that.
Yeah. No, that's great though.
I feel like we got this chess game going.
Yeah.
I just moved.
It's tough. It takes so much focus. Chess.
I know.
It's important, I think, that people, have that distance, and not only have that distance, but use that distance to reflect and take time.
Yeah.
And TVs are awesome, but they're distractors. And
1,000%.
Phone distractors.
Phone is the number one distractor.
Absolutely,
for me.
number one distractor.
Number one.
To where it's like you put things off, and then it's like, it comes to a point where it's like too late for an apology. It's like, now you want to hang out with me, so you got to apologize first.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem as authentic as reaching out on your own and being like, dude, that was on me.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that or whatever. How often are you dealing with anger? Or how persistent has that been?
Off and on, really. At TMC, I left angrily, because...
You quit angrily.
I did. It was probably a mistake in hindsight, which of course, hindsight 2020, all that good stuff.
Sure.
I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't really getting backed by supervision. I'd gotten a write up over. I slept on my neck wrong, right? And I came into work and I was like, "Look, dude, I'm stiff. Like I can't turn. I couldn't go up, down, left, right without severe pain. I thought something was wrong. You know, I slept wrong. I slept like this is what had happened, and because I just had a pillow wedged it the wrong way, and I woke up, dude, and I was in some pain. So I was like, I'll work, but like I'm not going to be able to do a lot of stuff like quickly, you know? And then I got to work. I was working about 10 minutes and they were like, "Hey man, you got to go home. We got to send you home because you're telling us about an injury. You potentially got outside of work, blah, blah, blah. You need a doctor's note and then you can come back." I was like, okay, whatever. So I went home. I went to urgent care that night, you know, got a shot, got hydrocodone and freaking muscle relaxers. And the next day I woke up feeling brand new, bro. Like it fixed me. Like I was like, all right. I was like, okay, we're loosened back up now, you know? And I actually had gone to the chiropractor. That day I got sent home. I went to the chiropractor trying to fix that issue and it just made it worse. The chiropractor made it worse. So that's when I was like, we're gonna have to go to urgent care and get some drugs.
Yeah, yeah, get a shot.
And that's when I was glad, you know, pretty grateful for modern medicine that day because it got me back in working. And then, I don't know, I think it was the next week I went into work and they're like, "Hey, I need you to come in here and sign this sheet." And they were writing me up for them sending me home. So I was like, wow, that's kind of bullshit, you know? Because every time you get wrote up, it affects your review. And we only get raises once a year out there. So you want your review to be really good, right? You don't want anything on your record because I was still under $20 an hour at the time as a diesel technician, you know? So I feel like I wasn't quite making as good of money as I could have been. You know, I had the handle of things. I could do my job independently at that time. You know, I felt like I was on the track for max raise.
Yeah, competent and secure in your position.
For sure.
Yeah.
And man, they did that and it just, I don't know. And this is where the OCD thought comes in. That action right there was so hard for me to forgive. And it came, I don't know, dude. It's like a swelling, slow anger started to build up, like just resentment for my workplace and my management. Like I switched shifts. I switched from first shift to second shift after that stuff happened because I'd gotten into it with my old boss, my old lead tech on trailers. And I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go to nights, get a $2 shift differential. It's pretty good. We worked from
nights are brutal though.
4:30 to 3 in the morning. So 10-hour shift. The crew was awesome. It was great when I first went over because every break we were outside playing cornhole. You know what I mean? Every break. Like that's one thing I give the night shift supervisor at the time. He loved cornhole, was obsessed with it. So we would have like long breaks playing cornhole, dude.
That's pretty wicked.
We'd bust ass and have all of our trucks and trailers done. You know, we outperform day shift a lot of the time. So
it's deserved.
Yeah.
Well
why not
deserved.
Relax a little bit.
Yeah.
So eventually they kind of started cracking down on it. And I don't know, things changed. And I don't know what it was inside my head that just made me start hating my job so much. And I think it was partially because some of the guys I was working with, like, because when I show up to work, I'm there to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if there's stuff to do, I want to do it. I want to be working on it. And there was just be guys that would just stand around and bullshit, and it would just piss me off so much, you know? And they'd be like, "Man, why don't you relax? Come over here and bullshit." I'd be like, "Dude, there's work to be done. Like, I'm working. I'm here to work. That's what I want to do." I don't know. And part of it could have been because, like, I didn't want to be in their clique. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be grouped in with the main majority of everybody. I wanted to kind of stand out because I wanted to move up in the company. And it's like no one cared that they did any of that, that they just stood there not working and bullshitting.
Is that like a peer-to-peer thing to where it's like we're paid the same? And
yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
In a way. You know, it's like, man, I shouldn't be outworking all of you guys. Like, missed half a hand here. Like, come on now.
You know, and the other thing I read about missing half a hand is that you don't use that as you just did, but you know, you were making an example there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't see you ever using that as like, woe is me.
Never.
What am I supposed to do?
Never, dude.
Like, no, I'm playing the sport. I'm working the job. I don't care.
I played baseball, dude. This hand went in a baseball glove. I played, it worked, you know? The only time it's ever like gotten in the way of a job is if I'm like trying to thread things on. I'm like,
oh, I see.
Like blind bolts or something like that. But with practice, I can still feel that out. Like it may take me a couple tries. I'll fumble it a little bit, but I'll get it on there, you know?
I could never imagine you being like, I can't do it. You know, it's just,
No,
it's
never.
Like, no, I'll find a way.
Like when I apply for a job, I don't say I have a disability. You know what I mean? I could, and it would probably increase my odds of getting a job at some places because think about it. They have to have a diverse workforce.
Yeah.
Some places shoot to have like 5 to 7% of their workforce be people with a disability. And so I could play both sides of the fence, you know what I mean? Depending on how desperate I am.
Guess that's nice to keep in your back pocket.
I know. It's not that I would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, if I look at it from the employer's perspective, you get the disability tally mark on your record, and you get a guy who works like someone not disabled.
It should be a good thing though, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
I feel like I should maybe consider utilizing that if I try to get my next job, which I actually applied for a maintenance company here in Joplin,
Okay.
Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
They emailed me and asked me to apply to be one of their maintenance guys.
They emailed you?
Yeah, starting pay is $8 more an hour than what I make now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is significant.
$8 an hour more. That's like over $10,000 a year, I think, salary is what it checks out to.
10,000 or 100?
Well, I want to say $5 or $6 an hour.
Oh, I
is,
see.
Is about $10,000 extra a year. Yeah, if it's spread out, you know.
I see. Yeah.
I know I'll be
not
bringing
total.
home roughly $300 more a week gross or net. No, gross, because net is after all the taxes.
Man, it's nice that they reach out too, because then you know that they want you.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I got a chance. I got a chance to get out of this rut or whatever I'm in, you know? I feel like I'm kind of being taken advantage of where I'm at, and that's part of why I'm maybe not very happy.
Can you remember any jobs, that maybe you didn't love it, or, maybe you weren't in love with it, but like what was it in some of those better jobs where you could find balance? Was it hours, or was it management, or was it coworkers?
I would say
schedule.
The schedule, just being consistent, is really nice,
9 to 5 or something.
Yeah, just like a regular schedule. Like TMC, I enjoyed the schedule, but there was like other things working in the back of my mind, just kind of like digging a hole in my head that I couldn't let go of, like all the people being lazy. That was like the culmination of that, and anger and things people would say. I would just snap, and just be like, man, what the fuck you mean? You disrespecting me, And it was like an alpha over testosterone mentality that I've since, left behind.
Probably good.
Definitely good, dude, because I don't need to be a hothead. That doesn't get you anywhere in life.
Well, it's also not a good reflection on character of like...
Absolutely not, man.
Mason's a hell of a worker, but my God, don't piss him off.
No shit. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the one that everyone wants to work with, And I've pretty much achieved that where I'm at now, but I've achieved it to the point where people use me, I think, like... use me to do more work than them. Like they specifically request me because they know I'm gonna get a bunch of shit done, and they can kind of lay back and chill.
That is a tale as old as time. The good workers get abused, and then of course they get burned out and pissed.
Yeah,
and it's like, they're gone, and hopefully to better, greener pastures. Of
course, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with my current job. I don't mind the work. It's really not super labor intensive. The only time it sucks is when you're hauling 10-pound fire extinguishers up 3 flights of stairs for an apartment building. You know what I mean? That's the only time it really sucks.
Physically taxing.
Yeah, and it's hot outside, and you got to be outside, and you're sweating, and that's the only bad part. But that's not anything out of the realm that I've been exposed to, because I used to install above-ground pools in the summertime. I did that for 10 years, working for Jeremy Fields. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I'm not.
He's from Galena.
Okay.
He graduated from Riverton, though.
Did you work on the Derek Fullerton crew?
No.
Okay.
No, never did work with them.
Did you know him?
Yeah, I know Derek.
Okay.
I know Derek and I think Jake Fry, and I know Doug Toney. I don't know.
Well, that name sounds really familiar.
Doug is Dave's son.
Okay. Tony sounds familiar.
Yeah, Dave Tony is it's Dave Tony Construction. That's who the crew is that Derek works for.
Okay.
Eventually, Derek told me that he's going to be taking that over.
Nice.
So I know.
Seems like right up his lane.
I'm really happy for him, man. He seems to really enjoy the outdoor work and doing all the stuff they do, man. And they do beautiful work.
Talk about balance. I follow him on we're definitely TikTok friends. I might have him on Snapchat or something, but I'll see his updates, and he's out with his kids fishing. It's just like, it seems like a great balance wherever he is.
One of the most balanced individuals I know, man.
I'll tell you, really. Derek, I've known him for a lot of years, and not like super intimately, but like especially way back in the day, probably early high school for me. And like through and through, that guy he's just Derek. Like he's
a solid individual.
He's solid,
and
man.
It don't matter who you're introducing him to or whoever he's meeting, he's going to be him.
He's going to be him.
And I love it.
Every time I see him, it's like smiles and everything else. And I don't know. He's like unfazed.
He's always cracking jokes.
Yeah.
Too.
He's always cracking jokes.
Some funny comeback for something.
Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah. I used to go over to his place quite a bit, and we'd all drink and smoke and do whatever, and have little parties out there and hang out every weekend or whatever.
That's awesome.
I mean, we all kind of grew out of that phase because, who needs to be going out drinking literally every weekend, just putting down 30 packs like high school, dude. We don't need to be doing that. I'm going to go. Let's just go night D2. All right, so where were we? Oh, yeah, Derek.
Well, now we're going to get to some...
Love that guy.
Because I like childhood talk. I think it reveals a lot about people. And it's like, I don't know, man. Sometimes people are sour from like a good childhood. You just never know.
Yeah.
And some people are the most solid from a terrible childhood. Like
I've tried to take whatever lessons I could in hindsight and, bring them forward and apply them into my adult life. Because, I don't know, my memory is the same, but the takeaway from the memory is different as I get older. It's almost like there was a lesson there that I didn't see until I was like mentally matured.
I was going to say, till you could like take it in.
Right, yeah.
Soak it in.
And so like my mom, she tried to be there a lot of the time. Like she married some drug addict who was rich and into oil. So we got to do some stuff down in Texas. We went and stayed there for a while, went on trips and stayed in fancy hotels, got room service. So I feel like she just wanted to expose us to that luxury while she could. But it was so short-lived that it doesn't even matter. Like, I would rather have not done any of that. It turns out, like, we were staying with her for a summer, and me and my sister were out back playing in a pool. And they were, like, heavy cocaine addicts.
Oh, shit.
Heavy. Yeah. Like, I had talks with my mom, like, as I got older, because I asked her about those times, and she was pretty open about...
Is she sober now?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't talked to my mom since probably like February.
Damn.
And when I tried to get a hold of her, because I was like trying to tell her Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, couldn't get a hold of her.
Radio silence.
Yeah, radio silence, dude. Couldn't get a hold of her. And I finally did get a hold of her after like calling the police and doing welfare check, like calling all these places that I thought she had been, trying to find out where she is just so I can check on her, make sure she's alive.
Yeah.
And I finally got a hold of her, and she just basically said, son, sometimes people don't want to be contacted. And I was like, to say that to your own son, though, like someone who is genuinely concerned for your well-being. So we've had our rough patches in the past, and I had recently like let her back in, and was talking to her, trying to talk to her regularly, because there was a point I didn't want anything to do with my mom because she like did some fucked up shit when right as I turned 18. So, I don't know. It took me a while to forgive her, I guess you could say. And hearing that from her was like, wow, have you really given up,
On herself?
Yeah, I really think so. Because she gotten away. She was on meth really bad for a long time. Meth and benzos, like Xanax and stuff. So she was like a walking pharmacy is what she told me she was back in the day. She ran like her and her husband, who was my stepdad when I was young. They like did stuff for the cartel There was connections to that.
Holy shit.
And that's from people here locally that are still around.
Of course.
Yes. So they were involved in that when I was young. Like they would take trips to New Mexico. I remember they drove us down to Little Rock, and it was dark when we went. It was nighttime when we went to Little Rock, and I was always wondering, like, why are we going here? Why do we have to wait outside in the car? You know? So I went through some sketchy situations like that. I got to meet lots of burnout people, dude, that are fucking out there.
Yeah. People you don't want to meet.
Yeah. So I learned a lot from being exposed to that, you know, but I would go from that to going home to my dad, who was just, it was sheltered compared to what I would experience at my mom's, you know what I mean? My mom's, there'd be cussing, fighting. Yes, sir, please. You know, they'd be smoking weed and stuff. And as a child, you know, we would be bugging her and stuff, you know, doing kid stuff. And she would get angry. She'd get mad that we'd be bugging her. And I always thought it was the weed that would make her angry.
Because is that what you saw?
That's what I saw as a kid. Like, I didn't see the meth because she kept that hidden from us. Like, she made it a point for us to never, ever see anything meth related.
But weed was like all kosher.
Weed was all good.
Okay.
She didn't have a problem with weed.
I see.
So I always thought weed was the problem. And
oh, no.
I didn't even know about meth, dude, as a kid. I just knew the smell of weed. I knew what it was. I always see her with her little joint roller, the little zigzag little orange roller, dude. She'd be rolling up joints. So I thought it was the weed making her angry. So it got to a point where I was like going to call the cops on my mom because she was like smoking weed while we were there. And I had like talked to my dad and stepmom about it and was like, okay, what's the move here? And I don't know, dude. Something in my head said call the cops on her and get her in trouble to teach her a lesson when I was young. So I almost did.
Okay, you didn't.
I never actually did it, but I had the phone in my hand, dude, and I was about to do it.
How old were you?
Dude, I was probably, so it would have been like 2008 or 9. So I would have been maybe like 10, 11, 12-ish.
Dude, that decision for a 10-year-old, 12-year-old.
You have no idea. My heart has never beat harder since then. You know what I mean? Just like, am I making a right choice? Because like my dad and stepmom were over here because I had talked with them about it and they were like, if you really think it's the problem, then call the cops, you know? They were like, if you think it's the right thing to do, which I don't think in hindsight was the best choice to leave up, like the decision to leave to a kid, that was not the move.
What do you think they should have said?
Well, I think they knew more than I knew at the time. And I think that they knew that if I did call the cops, the police would come and they would find more than weed. They would find pills and meth or whatever else they had, you know? So I know my dad knew that we needed to spend time with our mother, but he didn't like the environment. But he wasn't the type of dad to keep us away from our mother, you know? He wasn't going to deny us or her that. Like he never asked for child support from her. Never, nothing. Like he did it on his own, dude. Single father. Until probably 2009, I think. So from like 2002-ish to 2009, he was all on his own, dude.
Basically raising 2 newborns all the way up to, year 12 or 13 or something.
Yeah, and then, you know, stepmom comes in and
she's probably like emotional support, but
she's emotional and she provided a lot more structure.
Okay.
Like as far as like dinner every night.
Oh.
That wasn't fast food, you know. She made the point to start
huge.
cooking. And that was like a step out of her comfort zone too. My stepmom, her name was Shauna, but you know, she was Shauna, man. We butted heads a lot, dude. Like I actually didn't like her at all, man. I didn't like her at all for a long time. Actually, up until I got into an adult, like after they got divorced and everything. So
was it a replacement issue of like, you're not my mom and you're trying to be?
Personality clash. She was kind of weird. She was kind of weird, and I was always asking myself, like, why is my dad with her? You know, like, she's weird. Why is he with her? And I don't know. Eventually, she grew on us. She was just quirky old Shauna, and she still is quirky old Shauna. I love the shit out of her now. I've actually met up with her last year, I believe, and we had drinks at OK Bar.
That's pretty cool.
With her new husband.
Huh.
Yeah, and he's a great guy too.
And just relive some old times or something?
Yeah, and it was a lot of me apologizing for being such a shithead, man.
That's good of you.
Because I didn't realize like what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, I hate how narrow-minded kids are sometimes. I hate how we have to wait 10 years or 5, 6 years to realize,
figure it all out.
Man, you were such a fucker.
Yeah,
Why are you like that? She did not deserve that. She was trying her best, you know, because she didn't have any kids of her own. So she was starting out with a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Yeah, teenager and a preteen.
Yeah, dude. Like, so I give her the most of props now. I'm so grateful that she was there.
For somebody to step in and take that role.
Quirks and all, as weird as she was, and she may have liked to really drink beer because she was a little bit of an alcoholic, but I don't think it ever really got to be too much of an issue that we saw as kids anyway. Like,
yeah.
I think her and dad got into one physical thing, and it was like over my mom calling and saying some shit, and I just remember her yelling, "She's tearing us apart." It was something crazy like that.
Like jealousy or something?
Yeah, but they got through that, and it never happened again. It was like a one-off deal. Yeah, all kinds of wild stuff, man.
That is very wild. You said you didn't have any chew. Do you want to try any of these? Have you ever had one?
Yeah.
Dude, please. Don't let me hold them from you.
Citrus. Let's see what's up with those.
Citrus, to me...
Or do you think mint is the way to go?
Mint is my go-to.
Okay, all right.
But it's safe. Citrus is, you can call it citrus. It's almost like a Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, I'm probably going to go with mint.
Mint is safe. Mint is safe. And then you go, let's see if you can figure it out.
You squeeze it. Or just break the whole fucking thing.
I've never seen that happen. Show the camera that. I've never
snapped this.
That's completely new for me.
Whoops.
Well, we're living with that now.
We can get some super glue.
No,
maybe
it's all good. It's all good. I got some. We'll just combine it with one in the truck.
Did you see the powder go flying everywhere?
Dude, that was wild.
I'm so sorry.
No,
that's not supposed to do that. Apparently.
That's not supposed to do that. That's hilarious.
So is it like a lid that comes off, or you're supposed to squeeze this? Right?
Here's what I do. See the open here? I do a fingernail underneath that.
Oh, shit. See, I'm thinking like pre-roll tube. You squeeze it and it pops up, dude. I am so sorry.
No, it's all good. They're cheap.
It's not like they need to be moist anyway. They're dry.
It's all good.
Thank you very much.
I got some more. When I get low on one, I'll dump a full one in there, and whatever.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. That's hilarious.
Kind of funny. I didn't realize I was squeezing that hard.
And then they say go in the upper deck.
Upper decker?
But yeah, you do what's comfortable. I enjoy them.
When I was in middle school, I upper deck pouches.
Did you?
Yeah, I was chewing tobacco since middle school.
I didn't even know they were around back then.
Camel Snus. That's what we did.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Camel Snus. And sometimes I would try to squeeze like an actual dip in class. Like,
you swallow it?
Yeah, I'd drink it down. I would have to have water or something to drink. I would just drink it down, dude.
Who are you?
I was a fucking freak show, dude.
That's wild.
Just getting nicotine however I could, man. Little underage Mason.
That's wild.
How do you think I got this mustache so thick, dude?
That is nicotine, baby.
Gotten dip spit at 13 years
Holy
old.
Shit, that's wild. All right, let's keep it moving here.
All right.
This has been awesome. What has proven to be the most impactful experience of your life?
Ooh, that's a deep question. Most impactful.
Impactful, resonant. What's something that comes to you that's like, that's why I am who I am.
I wouldn't say it's an event. It's more like a period of my life, which is like after I got out of high school. I was living with my mom. I'd moved out of my dad's like halfway through my senior year, and I was in like crutches. I just had a surgery on my toe. It was over like a football injury. I got turf toe. So like my big toe started like sucking underneath all my other toes. So they put a screw in my shit and straightened it up to where I could have a straight toe.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'd torn all my ligaments and tendons underneath. And so.
Was it actual like turf toe because of field and cleats and everything?
But it was the same result of turf toe. So basically it was a play. I played outside linebacker, and our D lineman I'd shot into the backfield because they were running a sweep play. I made the tackle, D lineman landed on top of me, and my toe was like this, and my top toenail touched the top of my foot. My toenail touched the top of my foot on my big toe. And so I thought I broke my toe.
Damn.
Yeah, I thought I broke my toe, and I played on it one play, and I was like, nah, I cannot run on this. There's no way. So that was my injury that pretty much like ruined my senior football season. Yeah, it's all right though.
You didn't play after that?
I played in the last 3 games. I taped the shit out of it. I probably shouldn't have been playing. I should have let it heal, but taped the shit out of it and played anyway. So from use in that, I think this inner tendon of that big toe kind of took over on, the main function of me moving my toe. So it just started kind of atrophying in a way, like underneath. Yeah, so they put a screw in this joint here. They did a joint fusion, and then I had a pin sticking out the tip of my big toe for like 8 weeks, and then they just pulled it out.
So, okay, getting back to the question, how is that the most impactful experience?
Okay.
Is that what you were answering right there?
No.
We might be a little...
Okay,
might be getting a little tipsy here. I think we're feeling the whiskey.
All right, yeah, that's possible.
It's all good.
So I was on the subject of living with my mom in high school.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it went downhill because my mom has always like low key been on drugs. She got off the benzos, but never quite put down meth. But
you didn't always live with your dad.
I did, up until my senior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when him and I started butting heads a little bit. So I was kind of like, fuck you, dude, I'm going to go live with mom, which is like the fucking worst thing I could have done. Absolute worst thing. So I did. I went and lived with her and finished out my senior year. It obviously didn't end well after I graduated. Like, it ended with us getting into a big old argument. I broke something and she said leave. I got kicked out, so I loaded my shit up in my truck and drove. And
17 years old, 18?
I think I was 18. Yeah, I turned 18 my senior year, so I was like technically an adult. And so like I was driving back, dude, after getting kicked out, and my truck was in like disrepair. I had tires on the back that were like wrong size. I swear, dude, this is embarrassing to talk about, but I had like a 33 on my Dodge Dakota on one side, and then like a regular 15-inch tire, like a passenger truck tire. So the truck sat like this.
Oh my God.
Because of my one odd tire. But it was the only tire I could get at the time. I didn't have any freaking money. I couldn't work. I was in a boot. You know what I mean?
That's got to be great for your gear ratios.
Dude, I'm telling you, that old Dodge Dakota, it drove it. But on that drive home after getting kicked out of my mom's, the tire went flat. So I broke down right down the road from Hutto Farms on the way down 69 to Galena. Called my dad and my buddy that worked for Hutto's, Craig Owens. He was actually out there on a tractor. So to add to the fucking embarrassment, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm in a tough spot. I got a flat tire. And he goes and looks at my tire. I've got this fucking crackhead looking setup, dude, on this truck. And he's like, oh, man, here, I'll take you back to the shop. We'll get you some water and wait for your dad to get here. So my dad came, and we ended up getting a tire on the rim and getting it fixed. And I drove the truck home, yada, yada. Moved back in with my dad. Well, I got involved in some things I knew better than getting involved in. So my head kind of got up my ass there for probably 2 or 3 years, man. And I bounced all over the place. Didn't really do much with my life. Didn't go anywhere. Probably went backwards a little bit. And so kind of to try and save myself, I took this job working for a tanking service down in West Texas. They're based out of the Port of Catoosa. So I figured I'd take this job on the road, right? Well, I took a drug test and passed it, and then the second drug test I failed because I thought I was in the clear. And so I'm down there, I worked for 3 days, and they're like, hey, you failed your drug test, you kicked off the job site.
Oh my God.
And I had spent every dime I had. My dad had given me a jar full of money and like $100 to help me out getting down there. I didn't have any money, bro. This was it for me, and this was all or nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went down there and fucked up again. Lost that real good job I had working with the tank service. And then I actually went to stay with my mom's sister, like stepsister. So she was my aunt technically. I stayed with them for a while and took a job mowing lawns. and became a crew leader there shortly after. And I was clean at that time. And then after I became a crew leader, someone in the company flashed some shit in front of me and I relapsed.
Whoa.
So, and this was meth, by the way, just to be clear. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed of talking about it, like I'm sure those who know me know I went through a rough patch, and I'm not ashamed because it made me who I am today. That's why. So the rough patch is the event, I guess we could circle back to, that really changed me. It didn't change me permanently. Like, I'm not like fried, like some people say. Like, I've had friends say, man, I'm so glad you're still you after coming back from that.
Yeah, you're a person.
Yeah.
You're still a person.
Of course. And I had a couple trips and stumbles, but I was pretty well on the straight and narrow when me and Kat met. And then it's been pretty great.
Hopefully, if I pulled out a bag right now, you would be able to say,
dude.
keep that shit away from me, or get the hell out of my house.
Yeah,
even.
That's precisely what would come out of my mouth. Yeah,
for sure.
So, I mean, I still have friends that struggle with substance abuse, and I try and be there for them, but I have to be there at a distance, because whenever I quit that, dude, I had to drop all of my friend group, regardless of how close we were. I had to drop everyone, and go solo for a long time. It's just me, myself, and I. That's when I started working out. I found a new addiction, started working out, man. I got to the gym, started just, when I get home, I would smoke some pot and watch strongman videos, or watch like Juji Mufu or something kind of inspiring, make me want to go lift some weights, dude. Like, I really got into strongman, watching strongman, like, yeah, little 170-pound Mason.
Well, dude, they
do have a lighter weight class for strongman
100%
competitions.
100%.
I'm still not going to be able to compete just because my grip strength isn't there, but it's still fascinating.
Fascinating, inspiring, and I've heard that, I've never been on hard drugs or anything, but I've heard that you need to replace that addiction with something else.
Yeah.
And working out is one of those,
dude.
like, good alternatives.
So I actually did drugs with my mom and stuff when I lived with her for a short period.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of fucked up, I know.
Let's hang out here for a second. Was that therapeutic in any way?
I felt like it was a way for her and I to really connect.
In the weirdest way possible.
Worst way possible.
Yeah. But
absolute worst way possible. Smoking some fucking dope with my mom.
Like out of a crack pipe and everything?
Just out of a little bubble pipe. Yes,
little
sir.
Bubble pipe.
Yep. That's probably oversharing. You probably have to edit that out. But it's what I did, man. It's a rough patch I went through, man. And like, I don't feel like, I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary to broadcast how to smoke meth. You know what I mean? On your podcast.
Okay, sure.
But
well, I'm more interested in the relationship and how,
dude, it was so unstable.
Because
unstable.
I feel like when you smoke weed, of all things, with somebody, it's like there's kind of I don't know what it is, but like it's different. You're each at your own vantage points now, going back to our conversation earlier of how it changes your vantage point, and then you can communicate differently. But I don't know how that works with meth and everything, and especially with this relationship that we've been talking about with your mother.
Right.
So
yeah.
like, what was it, a one-time thing? Did you guys do it together?
We did it together for a while.
Okay, for a while.
Yeah, like we would.
Did that repair?
We would use regularly together. No, it didn't repair at all.
It did not repair.
It did not repair. If anything, it made it worse.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Just because of the people that were around and the environment we were in, the house we were living in. So after I'd fucked up with the tanking job and stayed in Texas and had the lawnmower job, I eventually moved back up here. And okay, I'm missing a part. Before the tanking job, I lived with my mom in Pittsburgh as a senior. She moved to Clinton, Missouri, and I stayed down here, but I was like still on drugs. That's when I like started doing drugs. But I had like held a job. I was working at like the Gilster Mary Lee cereal plant or something on second shift. I just held a job. I worked a job, and I got high.
Yeah.
Not good for keeping weight on at all.
No.
No, I think my lightest, dude, I got down to like 148 is what I weighed, which is lighter than what I was as a senior in high school. Like, that is insane. Like, it was because I'd gone to BioLife and tried to like donate plasma.
Just for money?
Just to get some money.
Yeah.
My resting heart rate was like 110.
My God.
Yeah. I have to use the bathroom.
Okay.
I'll pick up
We'll
from-
time out. We'll time out. This episode of Best Case Scenario Podcast is brought to you by Prime Scene Property Solutions. Do you hate trying to start your lawnmower only to end with you kicking the tire and hurting your foot and you're limping back inside, and before you know it, you're letting your grass become a mutated disaster? Or maybe your yard guy is a neighborhood drug addict, and he shows up with his beat-up push mower with rusty blades, leaving your lawn looking like worse than it was? Well, Prime Scene offers affordable lawn care solutions with weekly and bi-weekly rates, serving Joplin and the southeast Kansas area. Not only are they skilled professionals, but also they take the time to get to know your lawn care needs and accommodate them. With countless raving reviews, they are the area's prime choice when it comes to lawn maintenance, debris removal, and all things yard care. Check out their Facebook page and call or message for a free quote today. Click the link in the bio below. And now, back to the show.
I feel like a brand new man.
Good.
I've been holding that piss for a while.
I'm sorry. You can stop at any time. I can
No,
edit
dude,
out
it's
any
fine.
of this.
I just got to the point where I was like, I can let this
It's
out
like, you know,
real
I
quick.
can't say another word
Yeah.
until I piss.
So, okay, I moved up with my mom in Clinton, right? And still actively an addict at that point. I got a job. I went without a job for a while and just kind of skated along. And then she was kind of like, hey, you should probably look at getting a job. And so I did. I got some clean piss from somebody and went and got a job at Schreiber up there. They had a Schreiber cheese plant. And they worked 12-hour shifts. It sucked. I fucking hated it. It was cold.
How many days a week?
It was like a 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 2 off style schedule, you know.
Yep.
I hated it, every minute of it. So eventually we had a big falling out, man. Like her and her boyfriend / husband, I guess technically because of common law, they were just, he used to be an old cook back in the day, like cooking meth back in the day. Like he doesn't have a tooth in his head.
Whoa.
I don't know why my mom's with this guy, probably for the drugs.
Oh, yeah. It's like I have a
Would be my
guess.
assumption.
I have a small guess.
But so things fell apart there, and I moved back home, and that's when I like really tried to get clean. That's when I got my first job at a machine shop. I was working with my dad, actually. I was staying in his basement, and he got me a job as a temp at KMT Waterjet in Baxter. So that was my first machine shop. I started there, and I was getting clean. That's when I fell in love with the gym again. But I was still kind of like wanting to party a little bit. You know what I mean? Like still drinking some beers, staying out late.
Do you know what year this is?
2018?
Were we in correspondence at this time?
We could have been.
Okay, that seems...
We could have been. It's quite possible because there was a period there like I was all fucked up, but I was also like selling a little weed on the side and stuff.
We
Yeah.
met because you sold weed to a certain someone I won't mention.
Mutual friend.
Mutual friend. That it was totally kosher. I would have never guessed. Hopefully you were off drugs at the time, but I mean,
I think I was at the time, but the selling the weed is kind of what led me into all that, dude, because I had brought a big bag of weed to a party trying to sell some, and there was some cocaine there. So I tried cocaine and did cocaine for the first time, and I fucking loved it.
And it was good.
It had me by the balls. So, cocaine was a thing for a while. I don't know how long, maybe 3-4 months. Just occasionally at parties. I wouldn't seek it out just to do it all the time.
But you'd see it and your
But I'd
eyes
see
would
it and
light
be like,
up.
Let me get some of that.
Yeah, like,
man.
I know what that is.
Get a little bump, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, eventually, I had gotten some shit that wasn't cocaine, that I was told was cocaine, and it burned, right? And
A little different than usual.
burned. Cocaine does not burn. Cocaine goes numb. So this burning, I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like, my eyes are just watering.
Whoa.
And I have a few other friends in the car, too, and they're like, fuck. You know what I mean? They're like, shit. Like, that was not Coke.
You knew
And-
immediately.
Yeah, you know, if it's not Coke, what else is it going to be? Because you still felt up.
Hopefully not the F word.
No, it wasn't F. I don't think F was a big prominent thing
Okay.
in our at that time.
Sure.
Like, I don't know, dude. F kind of came out of nowhere. Like,
It did.
seriously.
But then what was it?
It was meth, dude.
Oh, it was straight up meth.
Yeah, I think it was meth. Like, cut with some other shit. So, and when I say cut, that's like mixing in a substance that is other than what, it could be like they could crush up a little ibuprofen and put it in for filler, for weight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just to make more money.
Yeah.
It's fucking the trickery that goes on out there
Dirty as
in
shit.
the streets.
And I'm sure being in the Midwest, it's tough to find clean anything.
Oh, yeah.
By the time it gets here.
Of course.
Yeah.
So meth eventually, like I had gotten addicted to cocaine, and I was doing all kinds of things. I think at one point I actually traded a gun for some cocaine and
oh my God.
$60 cash, bro. It
Oh
was
my God.
the most crackhead move I've ever done.
Yeah,
really.
that's some,
one of. I would say there's like 3 crackhead moves that I did.
That was one of them.
That was one of them. The other one was like pawning a gun to get $100. It was like a .22 rifle that was like one of a kind. I won it at a Ducks Unlimited banquet. I paid $6 for this rifle, bro. I won it in a raffle.
Oh.
Yeah. So that one was gone, and then there was like a really nice set of golf clubs that I had from when I'd played in high school, and I pawned them off for like $75.
Just for drug money?
Just to go get high or maybe get a McChicken or something, because I was poor, broke, didn't give a fuck, I could go days without eating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So like after about 24 hours, your face just starts sinking in, and your face will feel dehydrated like someone has pulled a vacuum on your skin. And you'll be like, I need to drink a chocolate milk and get some filler back in my face or something.
Skin is tight against your face.
It's weird. And like your skin gets super oily, like fucking gross oily, bro. It's so odd. So odd.
That's so weird. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. So like you could go days without eating and not even really feel bad as long as you have some shit to smoke or snort or eat or whatever.
Because that brings you back to like normality.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just level you out, bring you back up to level. Because I mean, if you're like 1-2 days into it, you fall down pretty quick. So like your high starts to wear off a little faster. So you got to do more to stay up if you want to stay up. And it just depends on like who you're around and what the activities are on who's doing what. So the drugs didn't help relationship with mom at all. Came back down, started working at a machine shop. And that's where I kind of started my machining, I was very interested in how the coding worked and these computers and how you could punch in letters and numbers and create this intricate part to the 1,000th of an inch, sometimes even finer tolerances than that, from a solid bar stock. You know what I mean? It was really cool. You could use multiple tools, and there was different processes that each part had to go through. So there was steps of a process, and it just kind of really piqued my interest at the time. And my tent position as a water spider was to go around and basically tend all of the operators, make sure their machines had coolant, make sure parts were getting moved around and flowing like they should. There was a flow chart I had to keep track of. So I had to keep track of all the machine's piece rates and making sure they were up to par, I guess. So I would have like green sticker, yellow sticker, red sticker for like if they were down or if they were a little behind or something like that. It was a fairly simple job I excelled at. And so they gave me a chance at being an operator. And because of me still being a little on the young side and not quite letting go of that like wild party life, I ended up getting fired from there. Just
From
because,
KMT?
Yeah, because I had shown up too late, too many times, and they gave me chances too. They gave me plenty of chances.
Yeah. That's good that you recognize it.
Yeah. And that was I told myself that's the last time I will ever, go through anything like that.
I'll tell you what I love about people is that, I see where you are now, and it's like, how much had to happen for you to get there? And that's for everybody. Everybody's at this position in their life to where it's like they didn't just show up.
No.
There was a lot that had to happen.
It wasn't first try for me to get off drugs, I mean, I'm thankful I was able to do it.
Mm-hmm. I am too.
Virtually on my own. Like a lot of people have to go to rehab to get off stuff like that. And if you're like my mother, you don't let go. It grabs you and doesn't let go. My stepbrother, who is her boyfriend's son, he's like probably your age, actually, like 30, somewhere around there, like 32 or 3 now, I think. I looked up to him a lot, but he was a drug addict. Yeah, he was so cool. He was a cool guy. He was one of those. Yeah, he took after his dad. So like in high school, I would wake up and he'd be like up all night playing Prison Tycoon or something. He'd be sitting there tapping his leg, just looking at Prison Tycoon. And I remember one morning, dude, I woke up. It was like 6:30. I woke up, my alarm, and I was like, "Damn, dude, you've been playing that all night?" And he just looks over at me. He's like, "I'm high as fuck," and then just goes back to playing. I was like, "What the fuck?" That's like something that's funny. Something funny I can look back on.
But I mean, I bet he was having the most fun.
Oh yeah, dude. He showed me all this shit. He was like, "Check this out. I got this. I got a library. These guys do trash duty." I was like, "Damn,
these guys
bro,
are on trash duty.
What in the fuck
Dude,
are you into?"
I bet on hard drugs playing your game. I bet that's
bro,
the most fun you could even ask for.
You should have saw this, man. He like deleted the operating system off of his computer and was trying to run this Linux OS. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm going to run this Linux OS so I can go steal Wi-Fi." And he built like an antenna he had hung up in the corner out of like a satellite dish and some wires and shit. And I was like, "How's that supposed to work?" I was like, "How's that supposed to work?" He's like, "It'll work. Just wait." It never did. It never did.
Dude, this has been such a great conversation that I'm going to have to just skip over a couple of these.
That's okay, bro.
We kind of talked a little about that. How about this? If you could give advice to a younger Mason, what would it be?
Ooh.
Any age that you feel. Could be kid, could be 18, could be yesterday.
I don't know. I feel like younger Mason was pretty wise for his age.
Yeah?
So I'd have to come up with a good one. I don't know. I wouldn't say really wise because he did end up going off on the deep end a little bit.
You're wiser now for it.
Yeah. And touching back on that, that's why I'm glad I kind of went through that and came back out, because I learned a lot about people and I learned a lot about myself and about like more like primal, no, not primal. I learned what not to do, what not to say, like how to act around people, how to read people, you know, like I felt like I became a lot better judge of character because of that. So for younger Mason,
and maybe like the chess move is nothing. Let him live the experience so I can be where I am now.
Right.
You know, it's like, maybe that's the answer. I don't know. That's a totally acceptable answer too, is nothing.
Yeah, but
let him live it.
I've got to have something. I got to have something for a little young Mason.
I feel like young Mason's doing his thing and then older Mason shows up. Like, you're not going to listen to adults as a kid, you know, you're not going to listen to your older brother, you're not going to listen to these people, relatives or whatever,
Yeah.
people you respect, you know. But if you show up, if it's you and you're like,
me.
Yo, I'm 30 now.
Be like, hey, dude.
Like, I would be listening. I feel like 18-year-old, how dumb I was. 30-year-old shows up, I'm going to say, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
you know, like,
absolutely.
I will listen to what you have to say.
Every time, man,
Yeah.
because you know someone, that older version of you has to carry more wisdom. I mean, they've got life experience. They've got, you know, probably some heartache, some hardship, some adversity that they've been through. There's
stuff that a protected child as I was, 18, I would not know. I would be like, what are you talking about? Life's hard. No, it's like, you're going to be fine. Like, hey, bro, time to wake up.
Yeah. And then you got, like, for instance, I've been robbed at gunpoint before. Like, then you got a gun pointed at your face and you're like, oh, shit. Here's my phone, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
hey, bro, it's yours, man.
Yeah. So, and that story was a result of the crowd I was surrounding myself with down in Texas. So it was someone I had met up here on a drug-related thing, and he was up here working, but he was from down there. So I went to visit him while I was down there, and I think it was a setup in hindsight.
He
because
fucking robbed you?
Him and I got robbed by two people that he was meeting to buy some weed from. I think it was a setup.
He was safe, or both of you were probably safe the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. But all they took was my phone. Like, I didn't have any money for them to take.
Sorry, guys, I'm broke.
He had like mushrooms and weed on him though, so I think they took his shit. But
they took his shit.
Yeah. I think they might have been trying to shake me down for whatever I had. But I don't know. That it don't matter. I'm not involved in that, and I don't want to be
Still a
involved.
hell of experience, though.
Yeah, bro. Like,
gun pointed at you.
It's a little different, man. To hear it go, and then see it looking down the
there's
barrel.
one in the chamber.
Yeah, that sounded like you put one in there. I'm not gonna test that, obviously.
No.
Dude, there's sometimes where I just like, I go to that moment and I'm like, man, what would have happened if I would have just been like,
Yeah.
just snatched it,
Did some John Wick shit.
But I mean, probably wouldn't have ended well.
Probably not.
I was in the hood.
I think to lose your phone, there could have been way worse things
Young
to happen.
Mason's advice, though, would be definitely like, don't try to grow up too fast.
Oh.
Because I was worried about things that I probably shouldn't have been worried about at a younger age, like finances of my parents and stuff. I paid attention a lot more, and I don't know, my dad, I would always ask him why we couldn't go do these things or this or that, and he would answer, because we're poor, which probably wasn't the best answer, as a father, but it was probably the truth, because he was a single father, with no support, no child support. So I would just, I don't know. I did get to grow up. I wish I would spend more time with my dad, because I'm an adult now, and I gotta twist his arm to spend time with me, it seems. And it's really weird.
It's probably tough.
It is. It's weird. Weird as hell. We were at my sister's house last weekend in Pittsburgh. They just moved into a new place. They had a little party, and everybody was there. And I asked my dad what he wanted to do for Father's Day. I was like, you want to go golf for Father's Day? Because he likes to golf. He's got clubs and everything. He was like, no. And Kat told me later that you should have seen everybody else's face when he said no. And I asked him, I was like, okay, well, if you don't want to golf, you want to go to the shooting range? Because I'm a member of Joplin Rifle and Pistol Club. And he said no. So, I don't know how to really,
yeah.
I don't know if that's gone now, if he just, wants to do his thing, because he sacrificed so much for us as kids, you know what I mean? And he did spend time with us as kids. He didn't neglect us. He took me squirrel hunting when I was a kid with a BB gun, and when I couldn't kill the squirrel with my BB gun because I couldn't pump it up hard enough, he went inside and got his .22 out and was like, here,
this'll do it.
Yeah, and it did it, and that was a moment that him and I had. So that was one that's memorable. We went turkey hunting when I was younger, but I couldn't go fishing with him now. If it's not his idea, he doesn't want to do it, essentially. And I don't know if that's just him wanting to live his life kid-free, which I can respect. I can respect and kind of put myself in his shoes in that sense, but I would want some contact with my kids. I would want to do things with my kids other than, the forced gathering that we do monthly that we just started doing this year. We're trying to do it, which we've kind of failed these past few months. We're trying to rotate houses because we have his wife's daughter and wife. They live in Ozark. We live here. They live in Galena. And then my sister and her wife live in Pittsburgh. So we're kind of spread out a little bit, but we've been going back and forth, rotating. And I don't know, man. It's it's not the same. And I feel like it's because I went out and did drugs and disconnected myself. It hasn't been the same since I came back, from that, I mean, when we're sitting there talking to each other, it's fine. But when it comes to hey, dude, listen, me and you do something together, just us. He's not having it. He's not interested. And I've been racking my brain, dude, and I still don't know why.
Do you think that's a conversation to have at some point?
He's not one to conversate about feelings. He never was and I think I have issues dealing with my feelings today because I wasn't really taught that emotional intelligence by my dad.
That's 50% you as well.
Yeah,
your dad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you have a lot of that in you in one way or another.
I've got that brutal honesty. I get brutal honesty from my mom. So I can be a little too blunt sometimes, but I don't know. I feel like the rude truth is a good thing to say sometimes. It's necessary in some cases, not all the time, because you don't want to always hurt feelings or anything like that. So that's something I've struggled with is the brutal truth and when to say the truth in a nice way and when to say the truth frankly.
Yeah.
And Catherine, dude, she has been my guiding angel in a sense as far as helping me navigate through this and learn how to deal with my emotions and stuff like that. I couldn't have asked for a better person to come across.
That's awesome.
She's been so patient. She's had many reasons to leave me, and here we are it'll be 5 years in November we've been together.
Wow.
And I got a ring on her. We need to get married.
I was going to say, you had to put a ring on
her. It's coming. It's coming soon, But,
I mean, even with all the, not rationalizations, but, just how you can see where your dad comes from is like that can't make it a whole lot easier.
Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily a believer in astrology, but like I find myself aligning with the Libra style of thinking, like looking at both sides, trying to be as objective as possible when it comes to a situation. Like, oh man, yeah, you fucked up, but yeah, maybe I've kind of fucked up a little too there. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it goes to, is just admitting personal fault in a lot of things. And a lot of times it takes me to sit down and smoke that bowl to realize what that personal fault was. And then the apology comes out. I just got to worry about catching it quicker instead of, letting it jump out. Like when Kat and I first got together, dude, I tell her like it was, whether she liked it or not. And if she didn't like it, there's the door.
Sorry.
Something like that. Yeah. And just kind of softened me up a little bit,
For the better.
For the better, for sure.
Yeah.
For the better. Absolutely. I'm a much better person now than what I was 4.5 years ago.
I mean, I hope we all can say that.
Yeah, of course.
That's
the goal, man.
That is the goal.
Growing.
Keep growing. Mason, what else am I missing? Anything you have on your heart, want to talk about, anything at the forefront of your brain? Doesn't have to be anything. Anything you want known? You seem to be a private person. I respect that.
I am kind of private, I guess. And
I respect it.
I don't necessarily try to be. I just don't feel the need to. There was a point that I would like project myself out on social media more, like post more.
Yeah,
and
same.
Try and cultivate a following, I guess. And I've become less obsessed with that, I guess, and I've got the people that message me on Snapchat, daily, and just we talk and bullshit. I've got, a buddy that I go play golf with on the weekend every once in a while. I had a buddy that I played disc golf with, but he recently got into a car accident and like broke both of his shin bones, his tibia and fibia.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad circumstances for the wreck to be in.
That's on the same leg?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were like protruding from his leg and stuff. Bad deal. Yeah, he has a rod going through the center of his bone now from knee down with like screws at the top and bottom to keep his leg together at this point. He just got his bad cast off. Yeah, and he was drinking and driving, and luckily it was no one else involved. It was just him on back road, and he ran headfirst into a guardrail and fucked himself up pretty bad. He's lucky to be alive.
Drinking and driving is one of those that it's like all fun and games until somebody else is involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a wake-up call for him. So, like...
That's good.
I had to distance myself from him because I was like, man, do I really want to associate with that? Or, that was a thought that went through my head.
It's a big deal if it's a wake-up call for him, though.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Might not mean you have to back up.
Yeah, and it's not the first time that he's had like a wake-up call, but I think this was the wake-up call for him, It was a hard decision for me because like he's such a good friend and I know he's such a good guy. But
shit happens.
He's doing this dumb shit, man.
Yeah.
And it's something he's been doing and he knows better, but he continued to do it. And I'd been trying to be there for him and pull him off of this path, and try and be that friend that would be there to talk you off the ledge or to keep you from wanting to go get high or get drunk or go to a bar and get plastered, and not remember how you got home. And I don't know, I felt like him doing that was like a slap in my face for everything I've been trying to do for him. And so I had to distance myself from him. I had to question whether I wanted to be his friend or not still. And, it took like a few days of silence, just no communication. And then, yeah, it may have been more than that. It may have been like a couple weeks actually. And I feel like that was good for him to reflect and for me to reflect as well. Is it my move, by the way? I moved queen to E.
Yeah,
D2.
I think it's my move. I don't think I moved since then. You're good.
I'll continue. So I'm glad that we mended that. He came over recently. We hung out, and it was great. It was like nothing ever happened. He told me he doesn't want to drink a drop ever again because he's the type that if he has one drink, he'll have 2, 3, 4, and not stop. Yeah.
Yeah, once I
This
start,
whiskey's
dude.
pretty fun.
Yeah, once I get going, it's like, why would we cut it off here?
Exactly. Yeah, like, I don't know, bro. Like, this stuff sits good on the belly.
Yeah, this is nice.
I'm gonna have to buy a bottle of this.
This is very nice. This is your bottle to keep, by the way.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's yours.
Dude.
Okay, I got 3 more quick ones.
Sorry. All right.
What's something you're compelled to do before you die?
Oh, man. Before I die,
Doesn't even have to be something great.
I would
Just
really...
find a diamond in Arkansas. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, it would be cool.
That would be really cool, but I wouldn't say it's bucket list. Oh, man. Skydiving is up there.
Okay.
Like, just risk my life in a controlled manner, I guess.
I like that.
I like the idea of going on a little tour of climbing some mountains and doing some hiking. Because
have a guide and everything.
Not even necessarily.
Not even?
Just try and go out there and take my knowledge. And
you're a crazy son of a bitch.
That is pretty crazy, dude. Because I would be
crazy.
traveling to an unfamiliar wilderness, you know, because the woods in Colorado are different than the woods here. Or the woods in Oregon are different than the woods here. There's different things out there that can get you. Yeah. Like I heard a story about a guy getting mauled by a bear when he was out looking for a bird. Just bird watching, you know? So there's that aspect of it that is the controlled life-threatening
I like that.
sense, you know?
Controlled is the key word.
Yeah,
there.
like
Yep.
skydiving. Like there could be things that go wrong, but it's generally regarded as safe, you know? Crazy, but still safe. So when we went on vacation, we've been to Colorado twice, to the Colorado Springs area. The first time we went, it was just her and I. We didn't know what we were doing. It was just post-COVID. And so they were just opening things back up.
You just had to get out.
Yeah, we took a week-long trip to Colorado
Hell
and stayed
yeah.
out there for a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we smoked. And that was before it was legal here medically, I think. Or no, before it was recreationally legal
Recreational
here
in Missouri. Yep.
So we went out there, dude, and bought some recreational bud, and turns out you can't buy it in Colorado Springs. It's a local statute that it's medical only in Colorado Springs.
Is this the trip that you climbed the steps?
That was the second time.
Okay,
the second time we went to Colorado Springs was with her family.
I remember seeing Snapchats of that one.
Yeah, dude, we did the Manitou Incline.
Yeah.
And just seeing that view after climbing that and having completed that feat, that was wonderful.
That's like hours of steps, isn't it?
You can do it in less than an hour if you like pace yourself. Yeah, we had to stop a couple times, you know, obviously not as in greatest shape as I was at the time, because before we left, dude, I was hitting the stair climber like, I'm doing this fucking incline,
you were ready
bro.
for it.
Nothing can prepare you for the elevation, though. I will tell you that. Nothing can prepare you for your heart. It is like pounding so hard, dude, like unreal. So we did the Manitou Incline. We went up to Pikes Peak on that trip, took the Cog Railway up to Pikes Peak, and this is our second time. And from there, we went to Garden of the Gods, which we had driven through the first time we went, but this time we hiked through. We went walking. We ended up walking like 8 miles. We got off the beaten path. We were walking on horse trails and shit.
Oh my God.
Passing like these people doing horse tours. We were like, hey, how's it going? This is the only pedestrians walking through.
That looks way easier than what we're doing.
Yeah, we were on a dirt path just walking through the brush, like admiring the different fauna, you know, or flora, I guess it'd be. There wasn't too much animal life. There actually was. There was deer that are pretty comfortable with people.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I bet a lot of small creatures.
Yeah, there was like deer in velvet at the time, so it was beautiful to see. I think they're mule deer out there, or they might be blacktail. So we got to see those in velvet. I saw a prickly pear cactus in full bloom for the first time ever. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
Dude, their flowers are beautiful. They look like a fruit roll-up texture. They're really shiny. They look so nectary.
Whoa.
And all these fruit flies were swarming this flower, dude. I have a picture of it on my phone somewhere.
You can straight up eat those, can't you?
I want to say, yeah, you can. If you like skin them and get the thorns off, you can fry them up and eat them.
Huh.
I don't know about the flowers, but like the pan part, you can cook those.
The cactus
and eat them.
part.
Yeah. But that was the first time I'd ever seen a full bloom prickly pear, and it was beautiful. I was very happy to see that. It was like yellow and
That's
orange
wicked.
and super pretty.
That is wicked.
Yeah, we walked like 8 miles through there, ended up getting to a residential neighborhood and was like, fuck, we got out of Garden of the Gods. So we had to walk back through, and it was a whole detour that we went on. It was a great time. We got a hell of a sunburn.
So, controlled, life-threatening experience is what you're after for that question.
Yeah, dude, just some kind of, I want some more excitement.
I love it.
I feel like I haven't had enough excitement in my life.
Too tame.
I've been a little tame, yeah. I feel like we're kind of getting into the old person phase a little too early.
Got some friends that, it's like, you don't have to be at the old person phase, you know, if you don't want to be. And
yeah, we're kind of hermits, dude. We don't get out too much.
I mean, I think even go to the gym. Go to the gym. You will feel so much better. Like, you'll feel capable.
Yeah.
You know, confident, rises from that. And it's like, you know, I don't know. Your friends get older and some just lean into it.
Yeah.
And then some fight the good fight. And, you know, and I've had to kind of deal with distancing myself from friends, like good fucking friends. That's just like, dude, we just got like different goals. We just got different trajectories.
You have to surround yourself with like-minded
Yes.
people. Your goal should be to not be the smartest person in the room or the most, you know, that's, I think the saying goes something like that.
Yeah.
Never try to be the smartest person in the room. You always want to be around people who are better than you, because that, I mean, it's proven that it literally breeds a success, you know, aura almost. Like all those positive vibes, I guess you could say, you know, are being absorbed by you if you're surrounding yourself in that.
Well, and connections and, you know.
Yeah, plus getting to know the right people. It's not about what you do or what you know. It's about who you know. And I've learned that so much more as I get older.
Did you ever have Garber as a coach of any kind?
Believe it or not, I did in 7th grade track. It was his last year of coaching anything. I never had him for football. Actually, I want to say he may have been a lineman coach, like 7th grade middle school football, dude.
He never went to high school, and we could never figure out why.
That's odd.
But, like, I think the job was there every single year for him, and he just never went. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to deal with the pressure.
It's weird. I always wondered why he never did go to high school.
One of his best quotes was, "It's better to be the slowest guy in the fast group than the fastest guy in the slow group," because, you know, like we do track workouts, and the D-line, O-line would be in their own group, and then the running back, you know, the specialty would be in their own skills group. And like that one always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, even though I can lead the O-line in whatever physical thing we're doing, if I'm with the fast guys, Logan North and, you know, all my crew, they'll run circles around me.
Mine was Landon.
Yeah. North.
Landon's freaking fast.
Leave it to the Norths to show everybody up. But it's like, yeah, it's better to be the slow one because they're going faster.
Of
course.
All
of a sudden, whatever that game was, workout where the person in the back.
Indian run, dude.
Indian runs.
I threw up the last time I did one of those.
Dude.
I yacked all in front of the volleyball team because the girls were coming out to run track right after us.
Oh, no.
And we had just finished our Indian run, and I was like, all in front of them.
When it's your turn and their pace is like ridiculous. They're getting ready to lap the O-lineman, and all of a sudden, like, you're the last one, and now you have to pass everybody.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Dude.
And your shit's already on fire.
Same concept, though. It's like, don't be the smartest one in the room.
Absolutely.
I love it.
That's probably a very useful thing to apply in life.
Okay, last one. Second to last one. What, if you had to associate a word to yourself or about yourself, what would that word be? One word.
One word for everything.
One word for Mason. What is that word?
Can it be a hyphenated word?
I'll give it to you.
I don't know. I'd say detail-oriented comes to mind, but I feel like that's not the best descriptor. You know what I mean?
I feel like you can do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, hardworking comes to mind, but that's cliche.
Okay.
You know?
I don't hate it.
I'm determined. I'm determined not to let all these things like physical handicaps, mental issues I'm going through, I'm determined not to let them stop me from progressing and becoming a better human being. or a more sophisticated human being, a more intellectual human being. Like,
Might call it grit.
how about, could be grit. Another word I would like to use is, I refer to myself as a sponge a lot of the time.
Oh, I like
A
that.
sponge, man, because I'm constantly soaking new information in. I love hearing new information and things that, while they may only be, crap, I lost the word. Like just a thought or a hypothesis, just a hypothesis can get your brain going and get you going and maybe go to other brain, and just, it breeds thought and deep thought, like new thought, and man, I see America, we don't build anything anymore, it seems.
We buy it.
We don't build anything anymore. When was the last skyscraper built that you can remember? Like, where has that ingenuity gone? So ingenuity is something else that I try to get myself to be more ingenuitive, like not to rely on purchasing a product, like maybe developing something for myself out of existing materials. Resourceful could be another word.
You're giving me a bunch of words here.
I don't know. I don't mean, I don't try to be.
I feel like that's
resourceful isn't one I would use to describe myself. Resourceful is a word I would use to describe what I aspire to be. Like, I'm working towards being more resourceful, like being more self-reliant, being independent. Like, I want a garden. I want chickens. I want to keep bees. I want to have honey so I can create my own mead. That's something my dad got into. He's making his own mead, and it's really fucking good, by the way.
I love mead.
Yes, he's made his own batch. He did a triple berry, he did a blackberry, and he did just a regular, like, double hop one. That was like a regular old wine kind of beer taste. It was really good shit.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so like I want to keep bees at some point. That's an aspiration I've had, and going back to my dad again, like he showed interest in keeping bees, and he hasn't done any work. Like, he hasn't showed interest. Like, he wants me to do everything, and because he's got land, we'll just keep him on his land. I don't know, man. I feel like my dad and I shouldn't be as rocky as we seem, which we're not rocky. We have we can talk to each other without arguing, but I want to be closer to him.
Yeah.
Nothing
wrong with that.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong at all. It's just weird because, like, what the fuck? I know it. I know it's not me. I don't think it's me anyway.
Well, I was going to say, unless it's a chess move to where, you're making the wrong moves against your opponent.
Right.
It's like you need to make the right moves against your opponent. Not to defeat him, but to, get closer.
Right.
Bring him in.
That could translate to maybe just showing up out of nowhere without texting him or calling him beforehand. Just showing up, being like, hey, what's up?
I mean, yeah, changing tactic. And maybe that's the change of tactic of stop asking permission and
just show up.
I can't tell you, obviously. But,
yeah, of course.
Who knows?
Because I've always been the type, like, call before you come over, make sure I'm home.
It's a respect issue at some point.
Yeah, but I don't know, that shouldn't really apply to your children coming to your house. You know what I mean?
Everybody's different.
That's true. And my dad never really opened up about his personal beliefs or thoughts or feelings even. Like, I've never sat down and, like, picked his brain on stuff because he never openly shared that with us as kids. We never had those intimate conversations, My mom, I got to have some of those intimate conversations with. I got to ask her about the things that I had questions about from when I was a kid, like the trip to Little Rock, why we were doing that. Oh, we were going to pick up drugs. I learned.
You know what? It sounds like your parents, through all their flaws, they are honest with you.
Absolutely.
Hey,
always.
We don't have money. Like, that's pretty honest to a child.
My mom wasn't necessarily always honest, but as I got older, the honesty came out. But she was dishonest for the right reasons.
And when you ask her directly, though, that's when it seems like, because that's your opportunity to lie.
You can't hide from your son asking you a direct question.
It's a straight up lie if you do that versus like we smoke crack in the back room and not in the front room or whatever. It's like I feel like that's less of a lie. Yeah. That's like you said, the right reason.
Yeah, and I'd even gotten involved in doing stuff with my cousin. Like, it was her brother's son. Like, we were all doing drugs together. And it probably not the best thing to, happen. But I'm glad I guess I got to do it with my mom instead of complete strangers,
Very strange concept, but I see where you're coming
That's
from.
one positive.
I see where you're coming
if
from.
If you're looking for one, you can pull one from that. I was safe with my mother.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, man.
All right, this one's typical, but I feel it's important. If you had a message to the world, what would it be?
Man, quit worrying about what everybody else is doing. Worry about yourself. Worry about you. Like, regardless of what your personal beliefs are, obviously if someone's encroaching on your personal beliefs in a sense that puts your family at risk or puts your loved ones at risk, obviously fuck that, stand against that. But if you're doing fine just the way you are and you hear about a drag show going on in town, who gives a shit, man? Let them people enjoy their night. No one's telling you to come to the drag show.
Yeah, you don't have to be there.
Yeah, it's fine. Just stay in your lane, pretty much. That's what it is. That's what it's about. Stay in your lane and laugh and fucking have fun when you can.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
Mason, I really appreciate you doing this.
Dude, I've had so much fun. I hope we can do it again soon. I feel like there's so much more to be covered still.
Definitely so much more.
There is stuff out there, dude. There's a episode 2 between you and I.
For
I
sure.
hope so.
But I want you to know I've had a huge respect for you for a long, long time, and that's through limited correspondence. Like
that means so much, man, because I know how limited it's been.
Yeah, you know full well how limited it's been. Mainly Snapchat and a couple this and that. But
swipe ups here and there.
Somehow or another, we've gotten along so well, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and
dude.
I think this has brought us closer.
Like, let's start hanging out more.
I'm so
real,
down,
absolutely.
man. Yeah.
Play some games sometime or something.
Yeah. More chess, more games, whatever you
I'm
think.
going to pick chess back up.
Now I know where you live.
Yeah, dude. Come by whenever.
Hit the gym together.
Yeah.
Any of that.
If you see the truck out front, I'm probably home.
I love it.
I have a gym in the garage, by the way.
Dude.
You're more than welcome to come check it out.
I love some garage workouts.
Yeah,
dirty, gritty, nasty, smoke in the air. Dude.
Yeah.
Thanks again, man. It's been
dude.
awesome.
It's been a pleasure, man. Until next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. We have a chess game to finish now.
Yeah, we got to finish this thing.